You are not waiting for money, you are aligning with it. There is a moment, known only to the soul, where the outer evidence begins to echo the inner conviction. The world may not see it yet. Your bank account may still argue against it. But something deep within you knows it is already done. And when it is done within, it must show itself without. Let us begin with this. Money comes to the one who no longer needs it to feel wealthy. When you assume the state of wealth, before any dollar touches your hand, you have already received. So what are the signs? First, you begin to feel complete. Not later, but now. A sense of peace descends upon you. You wake up without anxiety. You walk without the heaviness of lack. It's not that money has come, it's that you've already accepted it inwardly. The universe responds not to need, but to embodiment. Second, synchronicities appear. You overhear someone speaking about abundance. You notice repeating numbers like 1111 or 888. You bump into an old friend who mentions an opportunity. These are not accidents. They are reflections of the vibration you have shifted into. They whisper, it's already on the way. Third, you stop chasing. You let go. Not from defeat, but from understanding. You realize that you are not the beggar knocking on the door of wealth. You are the house itself. You are the source. What you once pursued now pursues you. Fourth, you may feel tested. Old doubts rise like shadows before dawn. Your mind tries to convince you it's not working. Good. That means the old story is dying. Don't fight it. Watch it fade, knowing that you are not your past. Fifth, you feel rich before you are rich. Not in a delusion, but in dominion. You imagine buying what you want. You feel the freedom. You walk as if every step is backed by unseen wealth. The world begins to rearrange itself to reflect that. Lastly, you begin to trust silence. You no longer need proof. You no longer need reassurance. You've entered the Sabbath, the state of rest. And from this rest, miracles are born. So pay attention, not to the outer world, but to the inner whispers. They will tell you when it is done. And when it is done within, it will be done without. Let those who have ears hear. You begin to feel satisfied, deeply satisfied, as if the money has already arrived, even though nothing has changed in the outer world. This feeling is not forced. It rises gently within you, like the warmth of the morning sun through your window. It's not rooted in your senses, your circumstances, or the balance in your bank account. It is something more subtle, more powerful. It is the knowing that what you asked for has been granted, and the evidence, though not yet visible, is on its way, with certainty. This feeling is sacred. It doesn't make sense to the logical mind. The mind may argue, but look at the bills, look at the numbers, and yet something deeper within you says, I already have it. You are no longer looking around for signs. You are no longer trying to make it happen. You simply know the chase has ended. The worry is gone. There's nothing to fix, nothing to beg for. You are no longer vibrating at the frequency of lack, but at the frequency of fulfillment. And because of that shift, the physical must follow. This inner completion is the creative act. It is the place where manifestation is born. When you feel as if it is already done, you withdraw your attention from the absence of it. You no longer ask when or how. Those questions dissolve because the feeling of already having it is more real to you than the outer world. You're not pretending. You're not trying to convince yourself. You are experiencing in consciousness the reality of your desire. And that experience is as real as touching it with your hands. Most people are waiting for the outer to change so they can feel differently. But the secret is this: when you feel differently, the outer must change. This is the great reversal. You feel prosperous and then you are prosperous. You feel rich before money appears. The world echoes back what you accept inwardly. And when you walk through your days with a quiet sense of financial peace, the world begins to respond with open doors, unexpected opportunities, and sudden provision. You may begin to smile for no reason. You may feel light and joyful even when nothing external has improved. That is the sign. That is the evidence that the seed has taken root in consciousness. This satisfaction, this inner rest, is the bridge between desire and fulfillment. You are no longer creating from desperation but from certainty. You have entered the Sabbath, the spiritual rest that knows it is finished. This feeling of completion is not a technique. It is a state of being. And once you enter it, you cannot be denied. The world will mold itself to fit your inner acceptance. Let this be your work, not striving, not chasing, but returning again and again to that quiet joy, that peaceful knowing. It's already mine. When you feel it, you'll know. And when you know, it must appear. When the current of your inner world begins to change, the outer world responds. You begin to see signs, patterns, repetitions, little moments that seem too perfect to be random. These are synchronicities, they are not coincidences, and they are not meaningless. They are the visible language of an invisible process. They speak in numbers, in symbols, in encounters that seem ordinary but are anything but. These moments are evidence that something deep within you has shifted, and now reality is starting to catch up. You may begin noticing repeating numbers: 111, 222, 888. These are not just numbers, they are like gentle taps from the universe, reminding you that you're in alignment. Something is moving, unseen but powerful. Or perhaps you think of someone and they suddenly call. You overhear a stranger say something that answers a question you were silently asking. You find yourself at the right place at the right time, not because of luck, but because you are being guided by a force greater than logic. These are not isolated events. They are echoes of a change within you. Synchronicities are feedback. They confirm that you've moved into a new frequency. When you begin to embody wealth, feel abundance, and live in the end of your desire, the outer world begins to mirror that change back to you. It's like dropping a stone into still water. The ripples spread out and eventually return to the point of origin. What you put out in consciousness begins to return in form. You may not see the money immediately, but the signs show up first. These signs are the early fruits of an inner harvest. There is no need to analyze them or try to force their meaning, just notice. Acknowledge them with gratitude. They are saying, keep going. They are like road signs on the journey, reminding you that you are on the right path even if the destination isn't in view yet. The more you notice, the more they seem to multiply. This is not a trick. It is the natural unfolding of consciousness into form. The external is catching up with the internal. You may even feel a subtle nudge to act, to call someone, to go somewhere you hadn't planned. Follow it. These intuitive prompts often lead to the next step in your manifestation. They are not random ideas. They are instructions from your higher self guiding you toward what is already yours. Do not ignore them. Move with trust. The outer world is not leading you. You are leading it. These signs are not magic. They are mechanics. The world moves by law, not luck. And when your inner world shifts, the law responds. So when synchronicities begin to multiply, smile. You are witnessing the universe rearranging itself around your new vibration. You are not hoping anymore, you are knowing. And reality is simply falling in line with the truth you have already accepted. Keep going. You're closer than you think. There comes a moment, often unnoticed by others, when you begin to feel calm in the middle of chaos. The bills may still be there, the uncertainty may still surround you, and yet you are still. You are no longer reacting. You're not fighting the storm, nor are you afraid of it. Something within you has become quiet, steady, and unshakable. This is not denial. This is alignment. This is the peace that arrives when you know something greater is at work, even if the outer world hasn't caught up yet. This calmness is not the result of everything going right. In fact, it often shows up just before everything begins to shift. It's a deep inner knowing that the bridge of events is unfolding. You don't need to know how. You don't even need to see signs. You simply feel the truth of it. Everything is working together for your good. The chaos around you, rather than being a threat, becomes part of the unfolding path. You stop seeing the problems as problems, you recognize them as rearrangements. The pieces are moving, not against you, but for you. You may still hear doubts whispering in your mind, but they no longer hold power. You've tasted something deeper, a confidence that isn't based on logic or evidence. It's spiritual. You don't feel the need to explain it to anyone. In fact, most people wouldn't understand. They are still measuring reality by what they can see, touch, and control. But you've gone further inward. You found a place where the outer world no longer dictates your inner state, and from that place you begin to create. This unusual calmness is a sign that you've accepted your desire as already fulfilled. You're no longer reacting from lack. You've entered the state of the wish fulfilled, and in this state you stop needing things to look a certain way. You stop resisting what is. You understand that appearances are temporary, and truth is eternal. The truth is, what you desire is already yours in consciousness. And so the bridge of events, the necessary steps between the invisible and the visible, has begun. You may watch relationships shift, jobs end, opportunities fall through, but you no longer panic. You understand that things fall apart to fall together. You know that the universe is not punishing you, it's preparing you. The calmness you feel is not passivity, it's power. It's the power of knowing that you've planted the seed and now the soil is doing its work. You no longer dig it up to check. You trust. The bridge of events may not always be gentle, but your reaction can be. You walk through the noise with silence in your soul. You face the storm with a smile, not because the world is perfect, but because you are. This peace means you've shifted, and the outer world, like a shadow, will soon follow. So when you find yourself calm during chaos, do not question it. Embrace it. It means the breakthrough is already underway. There is a moment, often quiet and unannounced, when you lose the urge to chase. You stop looking for proof. You stop refreshing your bank account. You no longer search the skies for signs because something has shifted within. You have become the sign. You walk differently, think differently, speak differently. Not because you're trying to attract money, but because you now feel as if it's already yours. The old habits of need and desperation dissolve, and in their place comes stillness, confidence, and ease. Chasing is always rooted in the belief that you are separate from what you desire. But when you no longer see money as something out there to pursue, you understand the truth. It flows from you, not to you. You stop chasing because you now know. You know that what you want is not only possible, it is inevitable. You've claimed it inwardly, and so you relax. You become still, not passive, but powerful. The stillness is not inactivity, it's alignment. It's the evidence that you have entered the state of already having. The feeling of lack is gone. You don't need to hustle for attention or force outcomes anymore. You realize money is not the source, it's the reflection. And once the source within you is awakened, the reflection must appear. You let go of urgency. You release the compulsion to control. You stop trying to manipulate the outer world to give you something. Instead, you radiate the vibration of already having it. And money, like a moth to a flame, is drawn to that inner certainty. When you lose the urge to chase, you also lose the fear of not having. Scarcity no longer dictates your thoughts. You don't ask where is it or when will it come, because you no longer feel the absence of it, you walk in the fullness of it. And from this place, strange things begin to happen. Opportunities appear, people show up. Money flows in ways you didn't expect, not because you chased it, but because you allowed it. You become magnetic, not through effort, but through embodiment. You don't try to convince anyone of your worth. You don't announce your plans or seek approval. You simply are. You live from the end. You no longer talk about money as a future goal. You speak as one who already possesses. You are no longer waiting for life to begin. You're already living it. And the world responds. It must. The law is simple. What you accept inwardly becomes your outer world. So when you stop chasing money, it starts chasing you. Not because you ignored it, but because you embodied it. You aligned with the feeling of already being provided for. You stepped into the frequency of abundance, and the physical reality bowed in response. You don't need to ask for signs when you are the sign. You are the evidence that your inner world has shifted. And when that happens, you don't follow money, it follows you. Just before abundance arrives, something unexpected often happens. Your old fears begin to surface. The thoughts you thought were long gone, the doubts you believed you had buried rise to the surface with new intensity. Worries about not having enough, shame around past decisions, guilt about receiving, and the deep-rooted belief that you are somehow unworthy of wealth may all come forward. This is not regression, it is release. It is the final cleansing before the new state fully settles in. You see, the mind does not give up its limitations easily. As you rise in consciousness and align with abundance, anything unlike abundance must be brought into the light. It is not punishment, it is purification. Your inner world is being prepared to receive, and that means clearing the debris. Old stories, inherited beliefs, and emotional residues you've carried for years suddenly come up, not to hold you back, but to be seen and let go. You may find yourself questioning again. Am I really worthy of this? Will it last? What if I lose it all? These questions are echoes from the past, from a version of you that lived in survival, not in creation. You are not that person anymore. But the final remnants of that old identity must be allowed to rise so they can fade. They do not need to be fought. Simply acknowledged. Let the fear come. Watch it. Feel it. And then let it pass. The moment you stop resisting these fears and start observing them, you reclaim your power. You understand they are not truth, they are memory. And memories can be rewritten. Each time you feel fear and choose not to act from it, you weaken its grip. Each time you feel doubt but continue in faith, you rewrite the script of your life. This is how you rise. Not by avoiding the shadow, but by walking through it with light. There is a reason these fears appear just before the breakthrough. You are stepping into a new version of yourself, and that version cannot carry the weight of the old. If you hold on to the fears, you delay the manifestation. But if you bless them for showing up and gently release them, you create space. Space for abundance. Space for clarity. Space for the reality you've already claimed within. You don't have to be perfect to receive. You simply need to be present. Present enough to feel what's coming up without judgment. Present enough to trust that what is leaving you now is leaving because it no longer belongs. These fears are not signs that something is wrong. They're signs that something is right. That something is changing. that the shift is real and the abundance is near. So when fear rises, welcome it like a guest that has stayed too long. Let it speak, let it cry, and then let it go. What comes after is peace. What comes after is power. And what comes after is the life you've imagined, ready to arrive, now that you've made room for it. There comes a quiet shift within, a moment when money stops feeling like something outside of you, something to chase or earn approval for. It becomes familiar, not in a boastful or delusional way, but in a calm, steady sense of knowing. You begin to see money differently, no longer as a symbol of struggle, scarcity, or lack, but as something natural, like breath, like sunlight, something you are allowed to receive. You notice how your inner conversation around money begins to change. The fear that once whispered, "It's too hard," or "There's never enough," fades into silence. In its place, a new voice arises, gentle but certain. "I'm supported." You begin to feel at home with the idea of wealth. You imagine holding it, using it, blessing others with it. And though nothing in the outer world may have changed yet, your inner world is becoming rich with possibility. This shift is not about arrogance, it's about resonance. You're not pretending to be wealthy. You are learning how to feel it before you see it. You're developing a relationship with money that is no longer rooted in lack or longing, but in harmony. You begin to respect it, not worship it. You invite it, not demand it. You understand that it's energy responding to your state, not a prize given for suffering or sacrifice. As you continue to think of money as familiar, your senses become involved. You picture it not in abstraction, but in vivid detail. You see it flowing to you, resting in your hands, filling your accounts. You imagine the decisions you'd make, the peace you'd feel, the generosity you'd express. These are not idle daydreams. They are creative acts. They impress upon your subconscious a new truth. I have money. It is natural for me to have it. And the world begins to reflect that inner conviction. Small things shift. You find unexpected money, discounts, invitations, new opportunities. People begin treating you differently because you are radiating a new energy, one of sufficiency, not scarcity. You are no longer tense or tight when it comes to money. You've let go of the fear, and so it begins to come without resistance. Money becomes a language you speak fluently in your imagination. You are no longer embarrassed to think of wealth. You no longer shrink yourself or justify lack as virtue. You understand that abundance is not selfish, it is your birthright. And by embodying that truth, you become a clearer channel through which wealth can flow. You don't need to announce this transformation. It shows in your energy, it shows in the way you walk, the way you decide, the way you believe without needing proof. And soon the outer world cannot help but catch up. Because once money becomes familiar in your mind, it must become familiar in your life. The bridge of events begins to form. The opportunities appear. And you realize it was never about chasing money. It was about remembering who you are and claiming what was always yours. When you begin to truly understand the signs, you realize that wealth doesn't come from striving, it comes from alignment, from the quiet confidence of inner knowing, the feeling of completion before arrival, the multiplying synchronicities, the calm in chaos, the stillness that replaces chasing, the shift in how you see money. These are not accidents, they are signals, indicators that your inner world has shifted and reality is now responding. You no longer beg, you no longer wait, you no longer wonder if you're worthy. You know you are, and in that knowing, the world bends. The bridge of incidents unfolds. Money flows, not from effort, but from embodiment, from your decision to become what you once hoped to have. Trust the process. Trust the signs. Trust the quiet transformations happening within. They are leading you where you've already gone in imagination. Thank you for listening. Stay aware, stay aligned, and let abundance find you as it always intended to.
Imagine standing at the crossroads of your dreams and your doubts. The world around you seems to shout, "It cannot be done yet." Within you, a quiet voice whispers, "It is already yours." This is the art of believing beyond reason, of stepping into a reality that is unseen but undeniably real. Imagination is the seed of reality. This simple yet profound truth holds the key to understanding how life unfolds. Every great invention, every monumental breakthrough, every life-changing decision originates as a spark of imagination. It is through this faculty that we create, transform, and bring into existence that which was once invisible. Imagination is not just a fleeting daydream, it is the womb of reality, the sacred space where desires take root and begin their journey into the tangible world. When we consider the concept of imagination, it is tempting to dismiss it as mere fantasy, a harmless indulgence that has no bearing on the real world, yet history tells a different story. Every skyscraper that pierces the sky, every symphony that stirs the soul, every cure that saves a life was once an idea in someone's mind. The world we experience today is a tapestry woven from the threads of countless imaginations. Nothing exists in the physical realm that did not first exist as a vision, a thought, or a feeling within the mind of its creator. This truth applies not only to great inventors, artists, and thinkers, but to every individual. Each of us is endowed with this creative faculty, a gift that allows us to shape our lives in extraordinary ways. However, the challenge lies in understanding the power of imagination and learning to wield it consciously. Most people use their imagination unconsciously, allowing it to be dominated by fear, doubt, and negative expectations. They envision worst-case scenarios, dwell on failures, and rehearse the very outcomes they wish to avoid. This misuse of imagination sows seeds of despair and frustration, yielding a harvest of unwanted circumstances. To harness the true potential of imagination, we must first recognize it as the seed of reality. Just as a seed contains the blueprint for a towering oak or a vibrant rose, so too does imagination carry the blueprint for the life we wish to live. But a seed does not grow without care. It must be planted in fertile soil, nurtured with water and sunlight, and protected from weeds that threaten to choke its growth. Similarly, our imaginative visions must be cultivated with belief, nourished with feelings of certainty, and shielded from the doubts and distractions that seek to undermine them. The process begins with clarity. To plant a seed, we must know what we wish to grow. Vague or scattered desires yield little. It is the focused, specific vision that takes root most effectively. What do you truly desire? What life do you wish to create? Be bold in your imagining, for there are no limits to what you can conceive. The mind does not differentiate between what is realistic and what is unrealistic. It simply responds to the images and feelings you feed it, working tirelessly to bring them to fruition. Once the seed is planted, the next step is to nurture it with feeling. Imagination without emotion is like a seed without water. It remains dormant, inert. To activate the creative power of your imagination, you must feel as though your desire is already fulfilled. This is not mere wishful thinking. It is an intentional act of aligning your inner state with the reality you wish to experience. When you vividly imagine and deeply feel the reality of your desire, you are sending out a signal that the universe cannot ignore. The journey from seed to reality is not always instantaneous. Patience and persistence are essential. Just as a farmer does not dig up a seed every day to check its progress, neither should we doubt the process of creation. Trust in the unseen forces at work. Trust that the seed of your imagination is growing, even when there is no visible evidence. The most magnificent transformations often occur beneath the surface, in silence and stillness. Imagination also requires protection. The world is full of distractions, naysayers, and circumstances that may tempt you to abandon your vision. These are the weeds that threaten to stifle your imagination. Guard your mind against negativity. Surround yourself with people, environments, and influences that uplift and inspire you. Remind yourself daily of your vision, reaffirming your commitment to it. The more you nurture and protect your imagination, the more powerfully it will manifest. It is important to note that imagination is not limited by the boundaries of logic or reason. It transcends the constraints of the physical world, allowing you to explore possibilities that may seem impossible. This is its greatest gift. Logic is bound by what is imagination is free to envision what can be. When you dare to imagine beyond the evidence of your senses, you are planting seeds for miracles. In this process, imagination becomes not just a tool, but a way of life. It shifts your perspective, enabling you to see the world not as it is, but as it could be. It fills you with a sense of possibility, a quiet assurance that you hold the power to create your destiny. The more you practice using your imagination consciously, the more natural it becomes, and the more effortlessly your desires flow into your experience. Imagination is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown, the present and the future. It is the divine faculty through which we co-create with the universe, transforming thought into matter, desire into reality. To embrace this truth is to reclaim your creative power. Your imagination is a garden waiting to be cultivated, a field brimming with infinite potential. Plant your seeds wisely, tend them with care, and watch as they blossom into the life of your dreams. The world you see around you is not separate from you. It is a mirror, reflecting the state of your inner world. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, and every feeling you nurture casts its shadow upon the external reality you call life. This connection between the inner and outer worlds is absolute, unwavering, and inescapable. It is not fate or chance that governs your experiences, but the invisible currents of your mind. To understand this is to hold the key to transforming your life from the inside out. Most people live as though the external world dictates their reality. They react to circumstances, blame conditions, and believe themselves powerless to influence their lives. Yet, this is a profound misunderstanding of how life works. The outer world is merely the effect, the cause lies within. Change the cause, and the effect must follow. This is not wishful thinking or philosophical abstraction, it is a fundamental law of existence. Consider the mind as the projector and the world as the screen. What you project onto the screen of life is determined by the film running in the projector, that is, the images and beliefs in your consciousness. If you desire to see a different picture on the screen, you must change the film. It is futile to manipulate the screen itself, for it only reflects what is being projected. Similarly, it is futile to attempt to change your life by focusing solely on external conditions. True change begins within. Your inner world comprises your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, and these elements work together to create your experiences. Thoughts are the building blocks, forming the structure of your reality. A persistent thought, repeated with conviction, becomes a belief. Beliefs, in turn, act as filters, coloring your perception of the world and influencing your actions. Emotions infuse these thoughts and beliefs with energy, turning them into powerful magnets that draw corresponding experiences into your life. When your inner world is harmonious, your outer world reflects that harmony. You attract relationships, opportunities, and circumstances that align with your sense of peace and purpose. Conversely, when your inner world is chaotic, dominated by fear, doubt, and negativity, your outer world mirrors that chaos. The principle is simple: what you nurture within, you will encounter without. To transform your life, you must first become a master gardener of your inner world. This begins with awareness. Pay attention to the thoughts you think habitually, the beliefs you hold as truth, and the emotions you entertain. Are they aligned with the life you desire, or do they contradict it? Often people discover that their inner dialogue is dominated by self-doubt, criticism, and limitation. These mental habits are like weeds, choking the growth of your dreams. The next step is to consciously choose your thoughts and beliefs. This is not a matter of pretending or suppressing negativity, but of replacing it with a more empowering narrative. When a limiting thought arises, challenge it. Replace it with a thought that aligns with your desired reality. Over time, this practice reshapes your belief system, creating a fertile ground for your dreams to grow. Emotions play a crucial role in this process. They are the fuel that powers your creative engine. When you feel joy, gratitude, and love, you emit a vibration that attracts corresponding experiences. Conversely, emotions like fear, anger, and despair lower your vibration, drawing experiences that match those feelings. To shift your emotional state, focus on what brings you joy. Engage in activities that uplift your spirit, and practice gratitude for the blessings you already have. Gratitude is particularly potent, for it aligns you with abundance and opens the door to greater blessings. Visualization is another powerful tool for shaping your inner world. Close your eyes and imagine the life you wish to create. See it clearly in vivid detail, as though it is already yours. Feel the emotions of fulfillment, success, and happiness. The more real it feels in your imagination, the more powerfully it influences your inner state. Visualization is not about escaping reality, but about creating it. By holding a clear and consistent vision in your mind, you set the stage for its manifestation. The outer world will inevitably reflect your inner changes, but the process requires patience and persistence. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a tree, your inner transformation may not yield immediate results. Trust in the process. Do not be swayed by temporary appearances, for they are merely echoes of your past state of mind. Hold steadfastly to your vision, and the outer world will catch up. This principle applies to every area of life: relationships, career, health, and personal growth. If you seek love, cultivate love within yourself. If you desire abundance, adopt a mindset of abundance. If you wish for peace, create peace in your thoughts and emotions. The outer world cannot give you what you are unwilling to give yourself. Your inner world is your sanctuary, your workshop, your sacred space. Guard it with vigilance, nurture it with care, and use it wisely. When you take full responsibility for your inner state, you reclaim your power to shape your life. No longer a victim of circumstance, you become the creator of your destiny. The world you see is not separate from you, it is you. Change within, and the world will change with you. Faith is the invisible thread that connects your inner vision to the outer world. It is the bridge between the unseen realm of imagination and the tangible reality you seek to create. Without faith, imagination remains a seed that is never nurtured, a dream that never ventures beyond the confines of the mind. Faith gives imagination its wings, transforming it from a fleeting thought into a lived experience. Faith is not mere hope or blind optimism. It is a deep, unwavering conviction that what you imagine is not only possible but inevitable. It is the quiet assurance that the unseen is as real as the seen, and the unmanifested is already on its way to becoming. Faith does not rely on evidence or external validation. It moves in spite of appearances, choosing to believe in the reality of the vision even when all reason denies it. This is why faith is so powerful. It operates beyond the limitations of the senses and logic. The senses tell you what is, faith tells you what can be. Logic confines you to the realm of what seems achievable. Faith expands your vision to encompass the miraculous. When you possess true faith, you no longer question whether your desire will come to pass. You live as though it already has, and in doing so, you align yourself with its reality. Faith is the active principle that energizes your imagination. When you imagine a desired outcome, faith breathes life into that image, infusing it with the substance needed to take form. Without faith, imagination is like a flame without fuel. It may flicker for a moment, but will soon die out. With faith, that flame becomes a roaring fire, consuming doubt and lighting the path to your dreams. The power of faith lies in its ability to hold steady, even in the face of challenges. Life often tests your faith with delays, setbacks, and appearances that contradict your vision. These are not signs that your faith is misplaced, they are opportunities to deepen it. True faith remains unshaken by temporary circumstances, knowing that these are but fleeting shadows compared to the enduring reality of the vision. Faith also demands action. To truly believe in your vision is to act as though it is already realized. This does not mean forcing or striving, but aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with the reality you are creating. If you believe in abundance, let your actions reflect generosity and confidence. If you believe in love, embody kindness and understanding. If you believe in success, approach each day with purpose and determination. Faith without action is like a seed left unplanted. It holds potential but produces no harvest. Faith requires trust, not just in the process, but in yourself. You must trust that the vision within you is divinely inspired, that your desires are not random but intentional. You must trust that the same power that placed the desire in your heart also provides the means to fulfill it. When doubt arises, remind yourself that the process of creation is not yours to control, it is yours to believe in. Your role is to imagine, feel, and act in alignment, leaving the details of manifestation to the infinite intelligence that governs all things. Faith is not an emotion that comes and goes, it is a choice you make daily. Each moment offers you the opportunity to reaffirm your belief or to give in to doubt. The more you choose faith, the stronger it becomes, until it becomes a natural part of who you are. Faith is a muscle that grows with use, and with time, it becomes the foundation upon which your life is built. When faith is strong, obstacles lose their power to discourage. You no longer see delays as denials, but as part of the unfolding process. You trust that every step, no matter how small or insignificant it seems, is bringing you closer to your vision. Faith allows you to move forward with confidence, even when the path is unclear, knowing that each step will reveal the next. Faith is the bridge that allows you to walk from imagination to reality. It connects the inner and outer worlds, making the invisible visible and the impossible possible. Faith is not a passive belief, but an active force, a commitment to your vision that transcends doubt, fear, and uncertainty. When you nurture your imagination with unwavering faith, you align yourself with the creative power of the universe, and the life you desire becomes not just a possibility, but a certainty. Imagination, no matter how vivid, and faith, no matter how unwavering, require persistence to bring their fruits into reality. The process of creation is rarely instantaneous, it unfolds in its own perfect time. The persistence is the bridge that keeps you connected to your vision when the world around you offers no evidence of its arrival. It is the quiet, steadfast resolve to remain faithful to your inner reality, no matter how long it takes to materialize. The journey of manifestation often tests your patience and determination. There will be moments when progress feels slow or non-existent, when doubt whispers that your efforts are in vain. These moments are not failures but part of the natural rhythm of creation. Like seeds planted in the soil, your desires must go through an unseen phase of growth before they can bloom. It is during this phase that persistence becomes your greatest ally. Persistence is not about forcing or striving, it is about remaining aligned with your vision in thought, feeling, and action. It is about returning to your imagination each day, reinforcing your faith, and acting as though your desire is already fulfilled. It is a quiet but powerful commitment to the truth of your inner world, even when the outer world suggests otherwise. To persist is to trust the process. The universe operates on laws that are precise and unerring. Just as a farmer trusts that a seed will sprout when given time and care, you must trust that your desires will come to fruition when you remain consistent in your belief and action. Doubt and impatience disrupt this process, like digging up a seed to check if it is growing. Persistence, on the other hand, creates a steady flow of energy that supports the manifestation of your vision. Persistence requires discipline over your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. It means refusing to entertain doubt, fear, or negativity, no matter how tempting they may be. It means turning away from appearances that contradict your vision and focusing instead on the reality you are creating. This discipline is not about suppression, but about choice, the choice to prioritize your inner truth over external distractions. One of the greatest challenges to persistence is the influence of others. Well-meaning friends, family, or society may question your vision, pointing to evidence that it is unrealistic or unattainable. They may try to impose their limitations on you, not out of malice but out of their own fear and doubt. In these moments, persistence means holding on to your vision with even greater determination. It means trusting your inner guidance above all external voices. Persistence also requires adaptability. The path to your desire may not unfold exactly as you imagined. There may be detours, delays, or unexpected challenges. These are not signs that you are off track, they are opportunities to grow, learn, and refine your vision. Persistence means staying committed to the end result while being flexible in your approach. It means trusting that the universe knows the best way to bring your desire to you, even if it looks different from what you initially envisioned. Celebrate small victories along the way. Each step forward, no matter how small, is evidence that your persistence is paying off. These moments of progress fuel your motivation and reinforce your belief in the process. Acknowledge them with gratitude, for they are signs that the seeds you have planted are beginning to sprout. Persistence is a quiet strength. It does not shout or demand, it simply endures. It is the force that keeps you moving forward when the journey feels long, the light that guides you when the path grows dim. Persistence does not waver in the face of setbacks or discouragement. It holds steadfast to the vision, knowing that what is seen in the mind must eventually be seen in the world. Through persistence, you demonstrate your commitment to your vision and your trust in the creative process. You show the universe that you are serious about your desires, that you are willing to remain faithful to them no matter what. This steadfast energy aligns you with the flow of creation, ensuring that your vision will manifest in perfect timing. Persistence is not a burden but a joy. It is the act of nurturing your dreams, of staying connected to your inner truth, and of watching with anticipation as your desires take shape. It is the quiet, steady force that transforms imagination and faith into reality. In the end, persistence is not just the key to manifestation, it is the essence of mastery. Through it, you prove to yourself and the world that you are not a victim of circumstance, but a creator of your destiny. To manifest your desires, you must embody the state of fulfillment, as though your dream has already come to pass. This is the ultimate act of alignment between your inner world and the reality you wish to create. The secret lies in living from your desire, not merely thinking about it or wishing for it. When you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the reality you seek, you invite that reality to unfold effortlessly in your life. To embody the state of fulfillment is to feel, in this very moment, the emotions you would experience if your desire were already a fact. If you long for love, feel the warmth and joy of being loved now. If you desire success, walk with the confidence of someone who has already achieved it. If you seek peace, breathe deeply and immerse yourself in its stillness. By aligning your emotional state with the end you desire, you activate the creative power within you to bring it forth. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what is imagined and what is real. When you assume the state of fulfillment, your subconscious accepts it as truth and begins to work tirelessly to align your outer world with this new reality. This process does not rely on force or effort, but on the natural laws of creation. Your state of being becomes a magnet, drawing to you the circumstances, people, and opportunities that resonate with your inner condition. This embodiment requires a shift in identity. You must see yourself not as someone who is striving for a goal, but as someone who already possesses it. Instead of asking, when will it happen or how will it come to me? Declare that it is already yours. Speak, think, and act from the perspective of the person you wish to be. This shift in identity creates a powerful alignment between your current self and the version of you that lives in the reality you desire. Living in the state of fulfillment also means releasing attachment to the outcome. When you truly feel that your desire is already fulfilled, there is no need to grasp or chase after it. You do not beg for what you already have. This sense of detachment allows the manifestation process to flow naturally, free from the resistance created by anxiety or impatience. Doubt and fear may arise, tempting you to revert to old patterns of thinking and feeling. In these moments, remind yourself of the truth the reality you wish to create is already present within you. Use tools such as visualization, affirmations, and meditation to anchor yourself in the state of fulfillment. These practices help you return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, reinforcing the inner conviction that your desire is already a fact. Consistency is key. To embody the state of fulfillment, you must practice it daily, moment by moment, until it becomes second nature. This does not mean suppressing your current emotions or pretending that challenges do not exist. Instead, it means consciously choosing to return to the feeling of fulfillment whenever you find yourself drifting into doubt or fear. Over time, this practice reshapes your inner world, creating a new baseline of belief and expectation. The outer world may not immediately reflect your inner transformation, but this does not mean that nothing is happening. Manifestation often occurs in unseen ways, with changes happening behind the scenes before they become visible. Trust that the process is unfolding perfectly and continue to embody the state of fulfillment with unwavering faith. Embodying the state of fulfillment is about becoming the creator of your reality rather than a passive observer. It is about stepping into your power and claiming your birthright as a co-creator with the universe. When you live from the state of your wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the infinite possibilities of life, transforming imagination into reality and dreams into destiny. The power of assumption is one of the most transformative principles in the journey of creation and manifestation. At its core, it is the understanding that the reality you experience is a direct reflection of the assumptions you hold. An assumption is more than a fleeting thought, it is a deeply ingrained belief about yourself, others, and the world. It is the lens through which you interpret life, and it shapes your experiences with remarkable precision. What you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, sets the foundation for your reality. When you assume success, opportunities seem to arise effortlessly. When you assume failure, obstacles appear at every turn. The external world mirrors the internal state of your mind, as though it were a faithful servant responding to the commands you issue through your assumptions. This is not a matter of wishful thinking, but a profound law of creation that governs every aspect of existence. Assumption begins with imagination. The mind is the fertile ground where all assumptions are formed. What you vividly imagine and accept as true creates a blueprint for your life. If you repeatedly see yourself as confident, capable, and abundant, you assume these qualities as part of your identity. Over time, this inner conviction crystallizes into your external reality. The mind does not discriminate between what is real and what is imagined. It responds to the clarity and intensity of the image you hold. To harness the power of assumption, you must become deliberate in your thinking. Many people live as victims of their circumstances, unaware that they perpetuate their struggles through unconscious assumptions. They accept lack, limitation, and struggle as inevitable truths, reinforcing these experiences in their lives. The first step to change is awareness, recognizing the assumptions that dominate your thoughts and understanding how they influence your reality. Once you identify limiting assumptions, you can replace them with empowering ones. This process requires intention and discipline. Begin by choosing a specific desire or goal and crafting an assumption that aligns with its fulfillment. For instance, if you seek love, assume that you are deeply loved and cherished. If you desire success, assume that opportunities flow to you effortlessly. This assumption must be felt as true, not merely thought about. The power lies in embodying the feeling of the fulfilled desire, as though it were already a fact. The feeling is the secret to making an assumption effective. The mind is not moved by empty words or superficial affirmations, it responds to the emotional conviction behind them. When you assume your desire is already yours, you generate a sense of certainty and gratitude. This emotional alignment sends a powerful signal to the subconscious mind, which begins to reorganize your reality to match the assumption. It draws the people, events, and circumstances necessary for your desire to manifest. This principle is most effective when applied persistently. Assumptions, like seeds, require time to grow. You may not see immediate evidence of change, but this does not mean the process is not working. It is during these moments of apparent stagnation that faith is crucial. Trust that the new assumption is taking root, even if the outer world seems unchanged. Continue to dwell in the feeling of the fulfilled desire, knowing that it is only a matter of time before it becomes visible. Doubt and resistance are natural challenges in this process. The mind may revert to old patterns of thinking, questioning the validity of the new assumption. These moments are opportunities for growth. Instead of giving in to doubt, reaffirm your assumption with even greater conviction. Use tools such as visualization, affirmations, and meditation to anchor yourself in the state of your fulfilled desire. Over time, this practice rewires your subconscious mind, making the new assumption a natural part of your belief system. The beauty of the power of assumption is its simplicity. You do not need to rely on external forces, elaborate rituals, or arduous effort to change your reality. All you need is the ability to assume and feel the reality you desire. This principle is available to everyone, regardless of their circumstances. It is not bound by logic or limitations. It operates in the realm of infinite possibility. Assumption also requires a willingness to let go of the how. When you assume your desire is already fulfilled, you release the need to control the details of its manifestation. This surrender allows the universe to work on your behalf, orchestrating events in ways you could not have imagined. Trust that the process is unfolding perfectly, even if it does not follow the timeline or method you expected. The more you release attachment to the outcome, the more effortlessly your assumption will materialize. The power of assumption is about reclaiming your creative authority. It is a reminder that you are not a passive participant in life, but an active creator. Your assumptions shape your experiences, and by choosing them consciously, you can transform every aspect of your reality. The world responds not to what you want, but to what you assume to be true. By assuming the best, you open the door to a life of infinite possibilities, where your desires are not distant dreams, but living realities. Doubt is the silent saboteur of creation. It undermines the foundation of belief and disrupts the flow of manifestation. When you hold a vision, an idea, or a desire, it requires unwavering conviction to bring it into reality. Doubt, however, acts as a counterforce, pulling you away from the state of certainty required for creation to thrive. It whispers questions of what if and how, shaking the confidence necessary to manifest your goals. To understand doubt's impact is to recognize why it must be consciously replaced with trust and faith. Doubt arises from fear and a reliance on external evidence. When you cannot see immediate results, the mind begins to question whether your efforts are worthwhile. It clings to the logic of the material world, asking for proof before it will believe. But the process of creation does not operate on evidence, it operates on conviction. It demands that you first believe, even in the absence of tangible signs, and allow the evidence to follow. Doubt interrupts this sequence, placing the demand for validation ahead of belief and halting the flow of manifestation. Every thought and feeling you entertain carries a vibrational frequency, shaping your reality. When you dwell in faith, you emit a signal of confidence and alignment, drawing experiences that resonate with your desires. Doubt, however, introduces discord into this frequency. It creates a state of internal conflict, where your desire and disbelief battle for dominance. This conflict weakens your focus and scatters your creative energy, delaying or even preventing the manifestation of your goal. Doubt often disguises itself as practicality or caution. It convinces you to play small, to hedge your bets, and to prepare for disappointment. While prudence has its place in certain aspects of life, doubt in the realm of creation is always counterproductive. It anchors you to the status quo, making it impossible to rise above current circumstances. True creation requires a leap of faith, a willingness to trust in the unseen, and to hold steadfast to your vision despite appearances. To overcome doubt, you must first understand its source. It stems from a belief in separation, the idea that you and your desire are apart, that the forces necessary for its fulfillment lie beyond your control. This illusion creates anxiety and uncertainty, causing you to question your power as a creator. The antidote to doubt is the realization that creation is an inside-out process. You are not waiting for the external world to grant you permission to succeed. The power lies within you to assume and embody your desired state, allowing the outer world to follow suit. The process of overcoming doubt begins with awareness. Acknowledge its presence without judgment, understanding that it is a natural part of the human experience. Resistance to doubt only amplifies its power. Acceptance, on the other hand, creates space for transformation. Once you recognize doubt for what it is, a temporary state of mind, you can consciously choose to replace it with faith. Faith is not blind optimism or the denial of challenges. It is the inner knowing that your vision is already accomplished. It is the calm assurance that the creative process is always at work, even when the results are not yet visible. Faith does not require proof or external validation. It thrives in the unseen, trusting that the desired outcome is on its way. By cultivating faith, you neutralize the energy of doubt and restore alignment with your creative power. Visualization is a powerful tool for overcoming doubt. When you vividly imagine your desire as already fulfilled, you immerse yourself in the feeling of accomplishment. This emotional resonance strengthens your belief and diminishes the influence of doubt. Repetition is key. Return to your vision daily, allowing it to become more real in your mind than any contradictory external circumstance. Affirmations also serve as an effective counter to doubt. By repeating statements that reinforce your belief in your vision, you reprogram your subconscious mind to align with your desired outcome. These affirmations must be spoken with conviction and feeling, as their power lies in the emotional charge they carry. For example, instead of saying, "I hope I achieve this," declare, "I am already living my desired reality." Another critical practice is detachment from the outcome. When you cling too tightly to your desire, you create resistance born of fear and impatience. Detachment does not mean giving up on your goal. It means trusting the process and releasing the need to control every detail. This surrender allows the creative forces of the universe to work on your behalf, unimpeded by the interference of doubt. Surrounding yourself with positivity and inspiration also helps fortify your belief. Seek out stories of others who have achieved what you desire, letting their success remind you of what is possible. Avoid environments or conversations that feed doubt, and instead immerse yourself in affirming and empowering influences. Persistence is essential. Doubt may not disappear overnight, but with consistent effort, you can weaken its grip. Each time you choose faith over fear, you strengthen your creative power. Over time, doubt will lose its influence, replaced by an unshakable conviction in your ability to shape your reality. In the absence of doubt, creation flows effortlessly. Your vision becomes clear, your energy aligns, and the universe responds with precision. The journey to manifestation is no longer a struggle, but a harmonious unfolding. By replacing doubt with faith, you reclaim your role as a deliberate creator, transforming your desires into living reality. To ignore the evidence of the senses is to step into a realm of creation, where the seen gives way to the unseen, and the material world becomes a reflection of inner conviction. The senses, though invaluable for navigating the physical world, are limited in their ability to comprehend the vast, infinite power of imagination and belief. They tether us to what is, and often blind us to what could be. To manifest your desires and live a life beyond the constraints of your current reality, you must learn to look past the immediate evidence of the senses and trust in the unseen power of your inner world. The senses report only what exists now. They are the chroniclers of the past, for everything you see, hear, touch, taste, or smell in the present moment is the result of previous thoughts, beliefs, and actions. They do not reveal the potential of what you can create. If you allow yourself to be guided solely by what the senses present, you become trapped in a loop, perpetually recreating the same circumstances. True transformation requires the courage to look beyond what is and focus on what you desire to bring into being. Ignoring the evidence of the senses does not mean denying reality or rejecting the material world. It means refusing to let external appearances dictate your inner state. For instance, if you desire abundance, but your current circumstances reflect lack, dwelling on what the senses show will only reinforce the feeling of scarcity. Instead, you must turn inward, using imagination and belief to align yourself with the reality you wish to create. By assuming the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you plant the seed of its manifestation, regardless of the evidence around you. This principle is not a rejection of logic, but an acknowledgement of a higher order of reality. The senses operate within the realm of the known, while creation occurs in the realm of the unknown. To manifest something new, you must step beyond the limitations of logic and embrace the power of imagination. Imagination is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the finite and the infinite. It allows you to envision possibilities that transcend your current circumstances, making the impossible possible. Faith plays a crucial role in ignoring the evidence of the senses. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is the conviction that your desire is already a reality, even when there is no physical proof. Faith is not blind belief, but a deep inner knowing that what you hold in your mind and heart will inevitably materialize. By cultivating faith, you anchor yourself in the reality of your desire, rendering the current evidence of the senses irrelevant. This process requires persistence and discipline. The senses are loud and insistent, constantly drawing your attention to the present moment. It is easy to become discouraged when your outer reality contradicts your inner vision. However, this is precisely when you must stand firm in your belief. The gap between your desire and its manifestation is a test of your commitment to the creative process. Each time you choose to focus on your vision rather than your circumstances, you strengthen your ability to ignore the evidence of the senses and align with the reality you wish to create. Visualization is a powerful tool for this purpose. By vividly imagining your desire as already fulfilled, you shift your focus from what is to what can be. When done with feeling and conviction, visualization creates a mental image so real that it begins to override the evidence of the senses. The subconscious mind, which cannot distinguish between real and imagined experiences, accepts this image as truth and works to bring it into physical form. The more you practice visualization, the easier it becomes to ignore the present evidence and live in the reality of your desired outcome. Another essential practice is gratitude. By expressing gratitude for your desire as though it is already fulfilled, you affirm your belief in its manifestation. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, creating a sense of fulfillment that magnetizes your desire into being. It also reinforces the idea that your desire is not something distant or unattainable, but a present reality that is unfolding in divine timing. Detachment is equally important. Ignoring the evidence of the senses does not mean obsessing over your desire or constantly looking for signs of its manifestation. True detachment is the ability to trust the process and let go of the need to control the outcome. When you detach, you release the resistance created by doubt and impatience, allowing the creative forces of the universe to work on your behalf. Surrounding yourself with positivity and inspiration also helps maintain your focus. Seek out stories of others who have successfully manifested their desires despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Let their journeys remind you of the power of belief and the limitless potential of creation. Avoid negativity and skepticism, which only reinforce the evidence of the senses and weaken your resolve. Ignoring the evidence of the senses is not about escaping reality, but about reshaping it. It is about recognizing that the external world is a mirror of your inner state, and that change begins within. By refusing to be swayed by appearances and instead anchoring yourself in the reality of your desire, you become the master of your destiny. The senses may tell you what is, but your imagination and belief tell you what can be. Trust in the unseen, hold fast to your vision, and watch as the evidence of the senses transforms to reflect the reality you have created. Speaking as if it were already done is one of the most powerful principles in the art of creation. It requires a deliberate choice to align your words with the reality you desire to manifest, rather than with the current circumstances visible to your senses. Words carry immense power. They shape your beliefs, influence your emotions, and communicate to the universe the state of being you have chosen to embody. When you speak as though your desire is already accomplished, you affirm its existence and anchor yourself in the reality of its fulfillment. The act of speaking in the present tense about something you wish to manifest is not about pretending or lying to yourself. It is about stepping into the state of already having what you desire. This shift in language transforms your inner world, reshaping your thoughts and feelings to align with the outcome you seek. The subconscious mind, which governs much of your behavior and creates your reality, takes your words as truth. When you declare that something is already done, the subconscious begins to organize your actions and experiences to reflect that reality. Speaking as if it were already done also cultivates the feeling of fulfillment. Feelings are the fuel of creation. They amplify the vibrational frequency you emit and attract corresponding experiences. When you speak in the language of completion, saying, I am, I have, or it is done, you generate the emotions associated with having your desire. These feelings elevate your vibration, making you a magnet for the reality you wish to experience. This principle requires trust and faith. It is easy to speak from the evidence of your senses, to declare what you see and experience in the present moment. However, this perpetuates the status quo, as your words reinforce your current circumstances. To manifest something new, you must break free from this cycle and speak from the perspective of your desired outcome. This requires you to believe in the unseen and to trust that your words have the power to shape your reality. For example, if your desire is financial abundance, you must avoid statements like I am struggling or I don't have enough. Instead, speak in the language of abundance. I am financially free. I have everything I need and more, or wealth flows to me effortlessly. These declarations may feel unnatural at first, especially if your external reality contradicts them. But with practice, they become second nature and their power begins to manifest in your life. Consistency is key when speaking as if it were already done. Your words must align with your vision at all times, not just in moments of intentional focus. Casual conversations, inner dialogue, and even passing remarks must reflect the reality you wish to create. Each word you speak reinforces a belief system, either strengthening or weakening your ability to manifest. By consciously choosing language that affirms your desire, you build a foundation of belief that becomes unshakable over time. It is also important to embody the emotions behind your words. Speaking as if it were already done is not a mechanical process, it is a heartfelt expression of faith and certainty. When you say, I am healthy, feel the vitality coursing through your body. When you declare, I am loved, immerse yourself in the warmth and joy of being cherished. The combination of words and emotions creates a powerful resonance that accelerates the manifestation process. Doubt and negativity have no place in this practice. If you find yourself slipping into statements that contradict your desire, gently redirect your focus. Instead of saying, I hope this works, affirm, it is already working. Instead of lamenting, I don't see any changes, declare, change is happening now. Even if I can't see it yet. This shift in language not only strengthens your belief, but also keeps you aligned with the state of your desire. Visualization can amplify the effectiveness of speaking as if it were already done. As you declare your desire fulfilled, picture it vividly in your mind. See yourself living the reality you have spoken into existence. Combine your words with mental imagery to create a multisensory experience that impresses your subconscious with the certainty of your vision. The more real it feels in your imagination, the more powerfully it will manifest in your external world. Gratitude is another powerful tool to complement this practice. By expressing thanks for your desire as though it has already been fulfilled, you reinforce the state of having. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, creating a sense of completion and satisfaction that magnetizes your desire to you. Begin and end each day with declarations of gratitude for your fulfilled vision, anchoring yourself in the reality you wish to create. Speaking as if it were already done is not a passive exercise. It requires boldness and confidence. It challenges you to rise above appearances and claim your role as the creator of your reality. It demands that you take ownership of your words and use them with intention and purpose. Each time you declare your desire fulfilled, you assert your creative power and strengthen your connection to the outcome you seek. The beauty of this practice lies in its simplicity. You do not need elaborate rituals or complex techniques. You only need your voice and the willingness to believe in the power of your words. Speak with conviction. Align your language with your vision and trust that what you declare is already done. In doing so, you shift from a state of wanting to a state of having, paving the way for your desires to manifest effortlessly into your life. Creation begins in the mind, for it is the mind that shapes, forms, and brings into existence the realities we experience. The external world is a reflection of the internal landscape. What you see, touch, and feel in your life is a direct result of the thoughts, beliefs, and imaginations that have been planted and nurtured in your mind. The power of the mind is often underestimated, yet it is the first and most essential tool in the process of creation. To change your life, you must first change your mind, for in the mind resides the potential to create the life you desire. The mind is a vast, fertile field, capable of generating endless possibilities. Every thought you have, whether conscious or subconscious, carries a vibrational energy that attracts experiences that match it. But this is the law of attraction in its purest form. What you focus on, you become. The more energy and attention you give to a particular thought or belief, the more real it becomes in your experience. Your mind does not distinguish between positive or negative thoughts. It simply manifests whatever it believes to be true. Therefore, if you are continually thinking about lack, struggle, or limitation, your mind will create situations that reflect those beliefs. Conversely, if you fill your mind with thoughts of abundance, health, love, and success, your life will shift to reflect those thoughts. Imagination is one of the most powerful tools the mind possesses. It is through imagination that we visualize and feel into the reality we desire. The more vividly and emotionally charged our imagination, the more real and tangible our desires become. Imagination allows you to transcend the limitations of the physical world and step into the realm of possibility. It provides the mental blueprint for what can be. Every invention, every great achievement, every masterpiece of art began as a thought in someone's mind. The mind creates first, and then the external world follows suit. If you can imagine it, you can create it. The key to creation lies not in merely imagining something once, but in consistently dwelling upon the vision until it becomes a living, breathing part of your being. This is where the power of belief comes into play. Belief is the engine that powers creation. What you believe in your mind will manifest in your life, for the mind does not question the validity of your beliefs, it simply acts on them. If you believe that you are destined for greatness, the mind will find ways to make that belief a reality. If you believe you are unworthy or incapable, your mind will create experiences that reinforce those limitations. The process of creation in the mind begins with setting a clear intention. To create something, you must first know what you want. This clarity acts as a guide, directing your thoughts and energy toward a specific goal or outcome. Once your intention is set, the mind begins to work on your behalf, aligning thoughts, feelings, and actions toward that goal. This is why it is so important to be specific in your desires. Vague desires result in vague outcomes. The more precise and clear you are about what you want to create, the more focused your mind becomes, and the quicker the universe aligns with your intention. After setting your intention, the next step is to persist in the mental creation. This means consistently thinking about and imagining your desired outcome, even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. The mind must be conditioned to hold the vision of what you want, and this requires practice. It is easy to become distracted by the evidence of the senses, the tangible reality that you see and hear around you. However, true creation requires a shift in focus, away from the physical world and toward the unseen, toward the world of thought and imagination. During this time of mental conditioning, it is essential to believe that your desire is already a reality. Speak and think as if it has already come to pass. When you speak of your desire as if it is already fulfilled, you send a message to your subconscious that it is so. This creates a powerful alignment between your conscious and subconscious minds, propelling your desires into reality. A common obstacle in the process of creation is doubt. Doubt arises when the external world does not immediately reflect the vision held in the mind. It is important to remember that doubt only weakens the creative process. When you doubt, you send mixed signals to your mind, creating confusion and resistance. The mind cannot create effectively when it is conflicted. This is why unwavering faith in the power of your mind is necessary. If you consistently hold the belief that your desires are already in motion, you maintain a positive flow of energy that supports creation. Patience is also essential when creation begins in the mind. Just as a seed must be nurtured before it can grow into a tree, your desires need time to manifest. The mind must be allowed to work through the layers of your current circumstances, dissolving old beliefs and creating new ones. The more persistent and patient you are with your mental creation, the sooner it will appear in physical form. Another powerful tool in this process is gratitude. Gratitude serves as a reminder to the mind that what you desire is already here, even if it has not yet manifested in the physical world. When you practice gratitude for your desires, as though they are already fulfilled, you align yourself with the frequency of having. This not only strengthens your belief, but also magnifies the creative power of your mind. Creation begins in the mind. The mind is the source of all reality, and what you think, feel, and believe shapes the life you experience. By using the power of intention, imagination, belief, and persistence, you can create anything you desire. The key is to remain consistent in your mental creation, to ignore the evidence of the senses, and to trust in the power of your mind. When you do this, your desires will inevitably manifest, for creation starts in the mind and then unfolds in the world around you. In conclusion, the power to shape and transform your reality lies within your mind. Every thought, belief, and feeling you hold has the potential to create the life you desire. By harnessing the power of imagination, assumption, and unwavering belief, you can bring forth the desires of your heart. Remember, creation begins in the mind, and what you focus on will inevitably manifest in your life. It is not a matter of waiting for circumstances to change. It is about changing your internal world first, and then watching as the external world follows suit. Trust the process, stay patient, and speak with confidence as if it is already done. Thank you for your time, and may you continue to create the life you envision with power and clarity. Beloved, love is not found in the fleeting joys of harmony. It is tested in the crucible of sacrifice. It is easy to say I love you when the sun shines and the path is smooth. But true love reveals itself when storms arise and we are asked to give without measure. Love is an idea often romanticized, reduced to fleeting moments of happiness and ease. But love, in its truest essence, is far more profound and enduring. Its strength, its authenticity, is not revealed in times of comfort or joy. Instead, the true measure of love emerges in moments of sacrifice, when one must give without guarantee of return, act without expectation, and endure without complaint. It is in these moments when love is tested that its depth becomes evident. Sacrifice is love's proving ground. It is the fire through which love is purified, stripped of selfish motives and shallow attachments. To sacrifice for someone you love is to declare that their well-being, their happiness, or their growth is worth more to you than your own immediate comfort or desires. Such an act requires not only courage, but also an unshakable commitment to the bond you share. It is here, in the quiet surrender of personal wants for the sake of another, that love transcends its superficial layers and becomes something eternal. It is often misunderstood as loss, as though giving up something precious diminishes you. But true sacrifice born of love is never about loss. It is about transformation. When you give out of love, you do not lose, you expand. You move beyond the confines of the self, touching something greater, something infinite. Sacrifice reveals the limitless nature of love, for in the act of giving, you connect to a divine source of abundance that replenishes and sustains. To love is to risk. Sacrifice asks us to step into the unknown, to let go of what is secure or familiar, trusting that the act itself will bring greater meaning. This trust is not always easy. Sacrifice challenges us to confront our fears of inadequacy, rejection, or betrayal. But it is precisely in facing these fears that love proves its strength. It says, even though I am afraid, Even though I do not know what will come of this, I choose to give, because love demands it. We also find a reflection of our own worth. When you love someone enough to sacrifice for them, you are not diminishing yourself, you are affirming your capacity to connect, to nurture, and to grow. Sacrifice is not an act of weakness but of immense strength, for it takes great courage to put another's needs above your own. And in doing so, you align yourself with the highest expression of love, one that transcends the boundaries of self-interest. But let us also remember that sacrifice must come from a place of abundance, not emptiness. True love does not demand martyrdom or self-neglect. To measure love through sacrifice is not to say you must deplete yourself for others. Rather, it is to give from the overflow of a heart that is whole and fulfilled. Only then can sacrifice be an act of love, not obligation or resentment. When you love yourself enough to honor your own needs, you can give to others without losing yourself in the process. Love, when tested through sacrifice, reveals its divine nature. It shows us that we are not separate but deeply connected, bound by a force that transcends time and space. It is in these moments of giving that we touch eternity, experiencing a love that mirrors the Creator's infinite and unconditional outpouring. This is the true measure of love, not in the easy times, but in the hard ones, not in the gains, but in what we are willing to give. When you love, and when that love is tested, embrace the challenge. See it not as a trial to endure, but as an opportunity to deepen and expand. Each act of sacrifice, no matter how small, weaves a tapestry of connection and meaning that defines the very essence of love. And as you give, trust that love, in its infinite wisdom, will return to you in ways far greater than you can imagine. For in the end, love is never truly measured by what you receive, but by what you are willing to give, even when no one is watching. Sacrifice is often seen as a loss, a painful giving up of something valuable or cherished. Yet within the heart of sacrifice lies an extraordinary power, the ability to catalyze growth, both for the one who sacrifices and for those who are touched by their actions. Sacrifice is not an end in itself, it is a gateway to transformation, a means through which individuals and relationships can evolve to new heights of understanding, strength, and connection. To sacrifice is to step out of the confines of self-centeredness. It is to declare that something greater, love, purpose, or vision holds more significance than personal comfort or fleeting desires. In choosing to sacrifice, we break free from the narrow focus of immediate gratification and align ourselves with a deeper sense of meaning. This alignment often requires a shedding of old patterns, attachments, or fears, making room for the new and unexplored. Growth is inherently uncomfortable, and sacrifice is no different. When we give up what is familiar or secure, we are forced to confront the unknown. This confrontation can be daunting, as it challenges us to let go of control and place faith in the process of change. Yet it is precisely in this space of uncertainty that growth takes root. Sacrifice pushes us to expand our boundaries, to stretch beyond what we thought possible, and to discover strengths and capacities we never knew we possessed. Consider how sacrifice fosters resilience. Each time we willingly let go of something we value for a higher purpose, we strengthen our ability to endure and persevere. Sacrifice teaches us to focus not on the immediate discomfort, but on the larger picture. It shifts our perspective, helping us see that true fulfillment often requires temporary hardship. Through this process, we develop a fortitude that not only sustains us in moments of challenge, but also prepares us to face future trials with greater confidence and grace. Sacrifice also deepens our understanding of ourselves. When we sacrifice, we are confronted with our priorities and values. What are we willing to give up, and for whom or what? These questions compel us to examine the essence of who we are and what we stand for. In doing so, we gain clarity about our purpose and the principles that guide our lives. Sacrifice strips away superficial distractions, revealing the core of what truly matters. At the same time, sacrifice fosters connection. It is an act of love and empathy, a way of saying, I see you, and I value you enough to give of myself for your benefit. This selflessness creates bonds that are profound and enduring. Relationships are strengthened when individuals choose to put aside their own desires for the good of the other. Whether in families, friendships, or communities, sacrifice becomes the foundation upon which trust and mutual respect are built. Through the act of giving, we not only uplift others, but also create a shared experience of growth. It is important to recognize that sacrifice is not about self-neglect or martyrdom. True sacrifice comes from a place of abundance, not depletion. It is not about diminishing oneself for the sake of others, but about choosing to give from a heart that is full and aligned with purpose. When sacrifice is rooted in love and intention, it becomes a source of empowerment rather than a burden. It is not about losing oneself, but about finding a greater sense of self through the act of giving. Sacrifice also teaches us about impermanence and detachment. By letting go of what we hold dear, we learn that our worth and happiness are not tied to material possessions or external circumstances. Sacrifice reminds us that life is fluid, and growth often requires the shedding of the old to make way for the new. This process of release is not easy, but it is essential for transformation. Through sacrifice, we cultivate a mindset of adaptability and openness, qualities that are vital for personal and spiritual evolution. Sacrifice is a reflection of the divine. In giving, we mirror the Creator's infinite generosity, which sustains all of existence. Sacrifice aligns us with this higher principle, allowing us to transcend the limitations of the ego and connect with the boundless flow of love and abundance. In this way, sacrifice becomes a sacred act, a way of participating in the ongoing creation and renewal of life. As we walk the path of sacrifice, we are reminded that growth is not always linear or immediate. The rewards of sacrifice are not always visible in the moment, but they manifest over time in ways that are profound and enduring. Each act of sacrifice is a step on the journey toward becoming our highest selves, toward living a life that is rich in purpose, connection, and fulfillment. Sacrifice is not about what we lose, it is about what we gain. It is a gateway that leads us to greater love, deeper understanding, and a more expansive vision of what is possible. In choosing to sacrifice, we embrace the truth that growth requires us to let go of the lesser so that we may step into the greater. And in that choice, we find not only ourselves, but also the infinite potential of love and life. The experience of loss is one of the most profound and universal emotions in human life. It stirs feelings of grief, regret, and longing, making us believe that something precious has been taken away, leaving us diminished. Yet loss, when viewed from a higher perspective, is often not what it appears to be. What we perceive as loss is frequently an illusion, a misunderstanding born of attachment, fear, and the limitations of our current awareness. Within the concept of loss lies the potential for transformation, growth, and even deeper fulfillment. At the core of the illusion of loss is our attachment to form. We live in a world where we identify deeply with the physical, the tangible, and the familiar. We attach ourselves to people, possessions, relationships, and circumstances, believing they are the source of our happiness and security. When these attachments are disrupted, we feel an acute sense of loss, as though a part of us has been torn away. But this belief is rooted in the misconception that our sense of self is tied to external things. In truth, what we are cannot be lost, for it is infinite and unchanging. Consider this: every experience of loss is also an invitation to rediscover what is eternal within us. When something or someone we value is no longer present, we are forced to confront the temporary nature of all things. This realization can be painful, but it also opens the door to a deeper understanding. It reminds us that nothing in the material world is permanent, and clinging to it only creates suffering. Through this lens, loss is not an end, but a transition, a movement from one state of being to another. It is a lesson in detachment, teaching us to release what no longer serves us so that we can grow into something greater. Loss also challenges our perception of control. Much of our fear around loss stems from the illusion that we can hold on to things indefinitely, that we can prevent change or keep life exactly as it is. When we lose something, it feels as though the ground beneath us has shifted, leaving us unstable and uncertain. But this discomfort is an opportunity to recognize the futility of trying to control life's flow. The illusion of loss dissolves when we embrace the truth that life is dynamic, ever-changing, and inherently unpredictable. Rather than resisting this reality, we can learn to trust it, finding peace in the knowledge that every ending carries within it the seeds of a new beginning. In the midst of loss, we often fail to see the gifts it brings. Loss strips away the superficial, leaving us with the essence of what truly matters. It encourages introspection, asking us to reevaluate our priorities and values. What seemed important before may no longer hold the same weight, and what was overlooked may reveal itself as deeply meaningful. In this way, loss becomes a teacher, guiding us toward greater clarity and purpose. Loss often paves the way for transformation. What we perceive as loss is frequently a redirection, a nudge toward a path we might not have chosen otherwise. When a door closes, it may feel like a rejection or failure, but it is often an act of grace, removing something that no longer aligns with our highest good. The space left by loss is not empty, it is fertile ground for new possibilities to take root. In this way, what feels like an ending is, in truth, a beginning, a chance to reinvent, rebuild, and reimagine our lives. The illusion of loss is also tied to our linear perception of time. We see life as a sequence of moments, each passing irretrievably into the past. When we lose something, it feels as though it is gone forever, irretrievable and final. But this perspective ignores the timeless nature of reality. Love, connection, and meaning are not confined to physical presence or chronological time. They exist beyond the boundaries of what we can see or touch. What we have truly cherished is never lost, it remains a part of us, woven into the fabric of who we are. Even in the most profound losses, such as the passing of a loved one, the illusion persists. We grieve their absence, forgetting that the love and memories we shared are eternal. Their essence lives on, not just in our hearts, but in the very energy of existence. Loss, in this sense, is not an erasure, but a transformation, a shift from the physical to the spiritual, from form to formlessness. What is real and eternal can never be destroyed, it simply changes its expression. To move beyond the illusion of loss, we must cultivate a mindset of abundance and trust. Instead of focusing on what we lack, we can shift our attention to what remains and what lies ahead. Life is an endless cycle of giving and receiving, of ebb and flow. When we trust in this cycle, we begin to see loss not as a void, but as part of a greater, harmonious rhythm. In letting go, we make room for new blessings to enter our lives, often in forms we could not have anticipated. The illusion of loss is a lesson in perspective. It challenges us to look beyond appearances and recognize the deeper truths that govern our existence. Loss is not a punishment or a failure, it is a natural part of life's unfolding. It invites us to grow, to evolve, and to connect with the eternal essence that lies beyond the fleeting and the temporary. When we embrace this truth, we see that what we thought we had lost was never truly gone, it was simply transformed, waiting for us to recognize it in a new and infinite form. Imagination and sacrifice are two seemingly unrelated concepts, yet they are deeply intertwined in the journey of transformation and fulfillment. Imagination is the divine faculty that enables us to create, visualize, and shape the reality we desire, while sacrifice is the act of releasing the old to make room for the new. Together, they form a harmonious cycle. Imagination inspires the vision, and sacrifice clears the path for that vision to manifest. Without the courage to sacrifice, imagination remains a dream. Without imagination, sacrifice lacks direction and purpose. The interplay between these forces reveals profound truths about growth, creation, and the unfolding of life's potential. Imagination is the birthplace of all change. It allows us to see beyond the constraints of our current circumstances and envision possibilities that have not yet materialized. It is through imagination that we create the blueprint for our desires, infusing life with purpose and intention. However, the act of imagining alone is not enough. For our visions to take form, we must be willing to let go of what no longer serves us. Sacrifice is the bridge that connects the world of imagination to the realm of reality. It is the price we pay to align our external lives with the internal vision we hold. Sacrifice requires us to confront our attachments, habits, and fears. It demands that we step out of our comfort zones and release the familiar, even when doing so feels uncertain or painful. This act of letting go is not a loss but a necessary part of creation. Just as a gardener must clear the weeds to plant new seeds, so must we relinquish what crowds our lives to make space for the manifestation of our desires. Sacrifice, when viewed through the lens of imagination, becomes not an act of deprivation, but one of preparation, a clearing of the ground for new growth. Imagination gives us the courage to make sacrifices, for it provides a vision of what lies on the other side of letting go. Without imagination, sacrifice might seem futile, a surrender without purpose or reward. But when guided by imagination, we see the necessity of sacrifice as part of a greater process. We recognize that by releasing what is no longer aligned with our aspirations, we are actively participating in the creation of something greater. Imagination transforms sacrifice from a painful obligation into a deliberate and empowered choice. Consider the sacrifices required for personal growth. To become the person we aspire to be, we must let go of limiting beliefs, unproductive habits, and relationships that no longer nurture us. These sacrifices can feel like losses, as they often involve severing ties with parts of ourselves that have provided comfort or identity. Yet through imagination, we can visualize the person we are becoming, a version of ourselves that is freer, stronger, and more aligned with our highest purpose. This vision gives meaning to the sacrifices we make, reminding us that every release is a step toward becoming more of who we truly are. In relationships, the interplay of imagination and sacrifice is equally profound. Love often calls for sacrifices of time, ego, or personal desires in service of a deeper connection. These sacrifices can be challenging, as they require us to prioritize the well-being of another over our immediate needs. But love is sustained and deepened by the imagination of a shared future, a vision of unity and partnership that makes the sacrifices worthwhile. Imagination allows us to see the potential of the bond we are nurturing, and sacrifice becomes the means by which that potential is realized. Sacrifice also plays a crucial role in the collective imagination. Throughout history, great societal changes have been fueled by individuals and communities willing to make sacrifices for a vision of a better world. Activists, innovators, and leaders have given up comfort, security, and even their lives to bring forth new realities. Their sacrifices were not in vain, but were driven by an unwavering belief in what could be. This dynamic continues today, as collective imagination inspires sacrifices that pave the way for progress and transformation. The relationship between imagination and sacrifice is not one-sided, it is reciprocal. While imagination inspires sacrifice, sacrifice also strengthens imagination. When we let go of the old, we create a vacuum that invites new ideas, possibilities, and insights to emerge. Sacrifice clears mental and emotional clutter, freeing us to imagine with greater clarity and creativity. It is in the act of releasing that we often discover new depths of imagination, as the very process of letting go expands our perception of what is possible. This cycle of imagination and sacrifice mirrors the natural rhythms of life. Just as seasons change and old leaves fall to nourish the earth, so must we continually release the old to make way for the new. Sacrifice is not a one-time act, but an ongoing practice, a willingness to embrace the impermanence of life and trust in the process of renewal. Imagination provides the vision that guides us through these cycles, ensuring that each sacrifice serves a higher purpose. Imagination and sacrifice teach us about the nature of abundance. While sacrifice might seem like a loss, it is, in truth, an act of faith in the infinite possibilities of creation. It is the willingness to believe that what we let go of will be replaced by something even greater, something that aligns more closely with our truest desires and aspirations. Imagination reassures us of this truth, showing us glimpses of the future we are creating through our sacrifices. Together, imagination and sacrifice remind us that life is not static, but a constant flow of becoming. To imagine is to dream of what could be, to sacrifice is to act in alignment with that dream. In their union lies the power to transform not only our individual lives, but the world around us, as we continually co-create a reality that reflects the boundless potential of the human spirit. Love, at its essence, is an act of faith. It is the willingness to trust, to give, and to open oneself to the unknown without guarantees. Love does not come with certainty, nor does it promise a smooth path free of pain or disappointment. Yet, despite these uncertainties, we choose to love because deep within we recognize its transformative power. Love requires faith, not only in others, but also in ourselves, in life, and in the unseen forces that shape our experiences. It is through this faith that love transcends mere emotion and becomes a profound force for connection and growth. To love is to step into vulnerability. It is to open our hearts, knowing there is a possibility of hurt. The very act of loving someone exposes us to the risk of rejection, loss, or betrayal. Yet we love anyway, because faith assures us that the rewards of connection outweigh the risks. Faith in love does not mean ignoring the potential for pain, rather. It is the belief that the journey of love, with all its challenges, is worth undertaking. It is a trust in the inherent goodness of love and its ability to enrich our lives. Faith in love also requires letting go of control. When we love, we cannot dictate how the other person will respond, nor can we predict how the relationship will evolve. Love thrives in the space of freedom, where both individuals are allowed to grow and express themselves authentically. This freedom, however, can be unsettling because it forces us to release our grip on outcomes. Faith bridges this gap, reminding us that love is not about possession or guarantees, but about presence, acceptance, and shared moments of connection. Love is an act of faith because it often demands patience and perseverance. In relationships, love is not always effortless. There are times of misunderstanding, frustration, and even conflict. During these moments, faith sustains love by encouraging us to see beyond the immediate challenges and remember the deeper bond that unites us. Faith allows us to trust that, with effort and commitment, love can weather storms and emerge stronger on the other side. It is this faith that transforms love from a fleeting feeling into a resilient and enduring force. Love also requires faith in oneself. To truly love another, we must first believe in our own worthiness to give and receive love. This self-belief is not always easy, as we often carry doubts, insecurities, and fears of rejection. Yet, love invites us to trust in our capacity to connect and to be vulnerable. It encourages us to see ourselves as whole and deserving, reminding us that we are enough just as we are. Faith in ourselves allows us to approach love with an open heart, unburdened by the need for constant validation or reassurance. Faith in love extends beyond individual relationships. It encompasses a broader trust in life itself. Love asks us to believe in the unseen, in the intangible bonds that connect us to others and to the world. It is a reminder that we are not separate but deeply interconnected, and that our acts of love ripple outward in ways we may never fully understand. This faith in the unseen nature of love encourages us to act with kindness, compassion, and generosity, even when we do not immediately see the impact of our actions. Love as an act of faith also teaches us about surrender. To love is to let go of ego, pride, and the need to always be right. It is to prioritize connection over winning, understanding over judgment, and unity over division. This surrender requires faith in the transformative power of love, that by letting go of self-centeredness, we create space for deeper intimacy and harmony. Love invites us to trust that in giving of ourselves, we do not lose but gain something far greater. Furthermore, love often calls us to embrace the unknown. Whether it is the love between partners, friends, or family members, every act of love involves stepping into a future that cannot be predicted. We do not know how the story will unfold, what challenges will arise, or how the relationship will evolve. Yet we choose to love because faith assures us that the journey is worthwhile, regardless of the outcome. This faith allows us to cherish the present moment, to celebrate the joy of connection without being consumed by fear of what might come. Love as an act of faith reminds us of the eternal nature of love itself. Even when relationships end, whether through separation or loss, the love we have shared does not vanish. It becomes a part of us, shaping who we are and how we move forward. Faith in love assures us that it is never wasted. Every act of love contributes to the greater tapestry of our lives, enriching our souls and deepening our understanding of what it means to be human. To love is to believe in the goodness of others, in the resilience of the human heart, and in the boundless possibilities of connection. Love requires us to trust in something greater than ourselves, something that cannot be measured or proven but is felt deeply within. It is through this faith that love transcends fear and limitation, becoming a force that transforms not only our relationships but also our very existence. In choosing to love, we affirm our faith in life itself, embracing its uncertainties with open hearts and the unwavering belief that love, in all its forms, is the greatest gift we can give and receive. The depth of love is not revealed in moments of ease and comfort. It is tested in the crucible of challenges, sacrifices, and uncertainties. Love, in its truest form, is not just an emotion or fleeting feeling but a profound commitment that withstands the trials of life. These tests reveal the strength, resilience, and authenticity of love, stripping away superficial layers to uncover its enduring essence. To test the depth of love is to see how it responds when the path grows uncertain, the skies darken, and sacrifice is demanded. At the core of love's testing lies the willingness to endure discomfort for the sake of connection. Love, when genuine, does not retreat when faced with hardship. It steps forward, embracing challenges with courage and grace. In times of adversity, love shifts from being a passive experience to an active choice. It is no longer about what one receives, but about what one is willing to give. The depth of love is reflected in the sacrifices one is prepared to make, not out of obligation, but from a heartfelt desire to preserve and nurture the bond. Love's depth is revealed in its capacity for patience and perseverance. In a world that often seeks instant gratification, love asks for time. It requires patience during moments of misunderstanding, frustration, or conflict. It perseveres through periods of distance or disconnection, holding on to the belief that the bond is worth nurturing. This enduring quality of love demonstrates its strength, as it remains steadfast, even when circumstances challenge its stability. The testing of love also involves navigating change. Life is inherently dynamic, and individuals within a relationship grow and evolve over time. These changes can strain even the strongest bonds, as they may challenge previously held expectations or dynamics. Yet, the depth of love is proven in its ability to adapt and embrace growth. Instead of resisting change, deep love finds ways to evolve alongside it, creating new pathways for connection and understanding. It does not cling to a fixed idea of what the relationship should be, but instead flows with the natural shifts of life. One of the most profound tests of love is forgiveness. To truly love is to recognize the humanity of the other person, their flaws, mistakes, and imperfections. Forgiveness is not about condoning hurtful actions, but about choosing to move forward without holding on to resentment. It is an act of grace that allows love to heal and grow stronger. Forgiveness requires humility and empathy, qualities that reflect the depth of one's commitment to the relationship. When love can withstand the pain of betrayal or disappointment and still choose reconciliation, it reveals its resilience and transformative power. Testing the depth of love also challenges the ego. Love calls for selflessness, asking individuals to look beyond their own needs and desires. This does not mean abandoning oneself, but finding a balance where both parties feel valued and supported. Love tests the ego by requiring acts of humility, such as admitting when one is wrong, apologizing sincerely, or putting the other person's happiness before one's pride. These moments of humility demonstrate a love that is not rooted in control or domination, but in mutual respect and care. Another significant aspect of love's testing is its response to loss and separation. Whether through physical distance, emotional disconnection, or the inevitable reality of mortality, love often faces the pain of absence. The depth of love is revealed in its ability to transcend these separations, holding on to the connection even when circumstances make it difficult. Love that endures loss is a testament to its profound nature, as it demonstrates that the bond is not contingent on external conditions, but exists as a constant within the heart. The testing of love is not about creating obstacles for the sake of validation, but about revealing its true nature. These tests are inherent to life itself, as no relationship or bond exists without challenges. The depth of love is not measured by its perfection, but by its ability to navigate imperfections with grace, compassion, and resilience. It is through these tests that love moves from being a fleeting emotion to a lasting commitment, grounded in mutual understanding and shared purpose. In every test, love has the opportunity to deepen, to grow stronger, and to reveal its truest form. It is not diminished by challenges but refined, like gold in the fire. The depth of love is found not in its ease, but in its endurance, in its ability to rise above difficulties, to embrace sacrifice, and to remain steadfast through life's uncertainties. To love deeply is to accept these tests not as burdens, but as opportunities to connect more profoundly with oneself, with others, and with the very essence of life. Self-love and sacrifice may seem at odds, yet they exist in a delicate balance that defines the essence of a fulfilled life. At its core, self-love is about honoring one's own worth and recognizing the inherent value of one's existence. Sacrifice, on the other hand, is the act of giving up something valuable for a greater good or higher purpose. While the two concepts may appear contradictory, they are deeply interconnected, each enriching the other when understood correctly. Self-love provides the foundation from which sacrifice can emerge authentically, while sacrifice often serves as a profound expression of self-love in action. To love oneself is not to live selfishly or to prioritize personal desires at the expense of others. Instead, self-love means nurturing a sense of inner worth that allows one to act with integrity and intention. Without this grounding in self-love, sacrifice can become distorted, leading to resentment, exhaustion, or feelings of inadequacy. Sacrifice that arises from a place of self-neglect is often unsustainable and may result in emotional depletion. And true self-love ensures that sacrifices are made from a place of abundance rather than lack, allowing them to be meaningful and fulfilling rather than burdensome. Self-love and sacrifice are intricately linked in the context of personal growth. To truly love oneself is to embrace the ongoing journey of becoming, which often requires letting go of old patterns, habits, or attachments that no longer serve. This process of sacrifice, releasing what is familiar to make room for what is possible, is a testament to self-love in action. It is a recognition that growth sometimes requires discomfort, and that the act of surrendering is not a loss but an investment in one's future self. By willingly making these sacrifices, individuals honor their potential and affirm their commitment to living authentically. Self-love and sacrifice are also profoundly spiritual concepts, reflecting the interconnectedness of all life. To truly love oneself is to recognize one's place within a greater whole, understanding that individual well-being is intricately linked to the well-being of others. Sacrifice, when guided by self-love, becomes an expression of this interconnectedness, a way of contributing to the collective good without losing oneself in the process. Whether it is giving time to a cause, sharing resources with those in need, or offering support to a friend, these acts of sacrifice are grounded in the awareness that love and generosity flow most freely from a place of inner abundance. The relationship between self-love and sacrifice is one of reciprocity and balance. Self-love provides the strength and clarity needed to make sacrifices that are meaningful and aligned with one's purpose. Sacrifice, in turn, deepens self-love by affirming one's capacity to give generously and to act in service of something greater than oneself. Together, they create a dynamic interplay that enriches both individual and collective existence, reminding us that the path to fulfillment lies not in choosing between self and others, but in embracing the interconnectedness of both. Love, in its purest form, is a reflection of the divine. It transcends the limitations of the human experience, reaching beyond the boundaries of the material world to connect us with something higher, something greater than ourselves. When we experience love in its truest sense, we are not just witnessing an emotional connection with another person, we are touching the divine essence that flows through all of existence. This divine reflection of love reveals the interconnectedness of all beings, the unity of spirit, and the eternal truth that love is the force that binds the universe together. At its core, divine love is not bound by time or space. It is an eternal energy that exists beyond the constructs of human perception. While human love often depends on external circumstances, desires, or conditions, divine love operates on a different level. It is unconditional, unchanging, and all-encompassing. So, when we experience this type of love, we feel a profound connection to the universe, as if we are one with everything around us. It is in these moments that we realize that love is not something we simply give or receive, it is something that flows through us, something that we are a part of. Love as a divine reflection invites us to see the world with new eyes. It asks us to recognize the divine spark in everyone we meet, to see the soul behind the physical form. When we understand that love is not limited to personal relationships but extends to all beings, all things, we begin to experience life differently. We no longer view others as separate from us. We see them as reflections of the same divine energy that flows through us. This recognition fosters compassion, empathy, and a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all life. The divine reflection of love also teaches us about the nature of creation itself. Just as a reflection in a mirror is an image of the original object, love is a reflection of the divine source from which it originates. The universe itself, with all its beauty, complexity, and harmony, is an expression of this love. Everything in existence is a manifestation of the divine energy that seeks to express itself through love. Whether it is the beauty of a sunset, the bond between two people, or the quiet stillness of nature, love is present everywhere. It is the force that brings everything into being, sustains it, and ultimately returns it to its source. In this sense, love is the driving force behind all creation. It is not something we can control or manipulate, it is something that flows through us when we open ourselves to it. Divine love is a force of nature, much like gravity or light, that exists independently of our will, but can be experienced when we align ourselves with its flow. Just as we cannot force the sun to shine, we cannot force love to manifest. However, when we attune ourselves to the divine, when we open our hearts and minds, love flows effortlessly into our lives, transforming us in the process. This divine love is also a mirror for our own spiritual growth. When we experience love in its highest form, we are not just connecting with another person, but we are also connecting with the divine within ourselves. In loving another, we come to understand more deeply who we are, as we reflect the divine love that resides within us. This love teaches us that we are not separate from the divine, we are expressions of it, each of us a unique reflection of the same source. As we grow in our understanding of this divine love, we begin to see the divine in all aspects of life, from the simplest to the most complex, from the mundane to the extraordinary. Divine love also invites us to transcend the ego. The ego is the part of us that defines ourselves by our thoughts, our possessions, and our achievements. It often creates separation between us and others, convincing us that we are individual beings separate from the rest of the world. Divine love, however, calls us to let go of the ego and recognize the unity of all things. When we experience divine love, we see that we are not separate from others, but rather deeply connected to them. The boundaries between us dissolve, and we come to understand that we are all part of the same divine whole. This realization brings peace, as we no longer feel the need to compete, to prove ourselves, or to protect our sense of self. Instead, we can simply be, embracing the love that flows through us and through others. The divine reflection of love teaches us the power of surrender. In our daily lives, we often struggle to control the outcome of our actions, to force things to go a certain way. We may try to manipulate our circumstances or hold on to things that no longer serve us. However, divine love teaches us that true peace comes from surrender to the flow of life, surrender to the divine will. When we let go of our need to control, we make space for love to enter, for divine energy to guide us. Surrendering does not mean giving up, it means trusting in the divine plan, knowing that love is always at work, even in the most difficult moments. Love as a divine reflection also calls us to embody grace and forgiveness. When we understand that love is not personal but universal, we begin to forgive more easily. We recognize that those who hurt us are also expressions of the same divine energy, and through this understanding we find it easier to let go of grudges and to forgive. Forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior, it is about releasing ourselves from the bondage of anger and resentment, allowing love to flow freely once again. Thank you for your time and attention. May you continue to embrace the divine reflection of love in your life, allowing it to guide and inspire you on your journey. Life is a mirror, reflecting back the reality of our innermost beliefs and convictions. Trust, therefore, is not merely about another person. It is a reflection of how you honor your intuition and guard your spirit. There are those in life who, though cloaked in charm or fine sincerity, carry intentions that could disrupt the harmony of your path. Today, let us uncover 3 types of individuals you should never place your trust in. Trust is a profound reflection of the inner self, a mirror revealing not only the nature of others, but more importantly, the essence of our own beliefs, fears, and expectations. The relationships we nurture, the people we draw into our lives, and the dynamics we experience are not random. They are shaped by the state of our inner world, acting as echoes of our thoughts, emotions, and spiritual alignment. To understand trust, we must first understand ourselves, for the outer world is but a projection of our inner consciousness. Self-trust also requires accountability. We must take ownership of our role in the dynamics we experience. It is easy to blame others for broken trust, but this mindset keeps us in a cycle of victimhood. Instead, ask yourself, what part of my inner world contributed to this situation? Perhaps you ignored your intuition when it warned you of red flags. Perhaps you placed unrealistic expectations on another person, expecting them to fulfill needs that only you can meet. By acknowledging these patterns, you empower yourself to make different choices in the future. Once you cultivate trust within, your external relationships begin to shift. You no longer seek validation from others, for you are rooted in the assurance of your own worth. This self-assuredness acts as a filter, naturally weeding out those who do not resonate with your energy. You will find it easier to discern between those who are authentic and those who are not, for your inner clarity allows you to perceive the truth beyond surface appearances. Trusting others becomes less about their actions and more about your alignment with your intuition. Ultimately, trust is not a static state but a dynamic process, one that evolves as you evolve. The more you nurture your inner self, the more you will attract relationships that honor and reflect your growth. Trusting others becomes an act of courage and faith, rooted in the knowledge that your inner world is your greatest guide. When you live from this place of inner alignment, trust ceases to be a fragile gamble and transforms into a powerful expression of self-assurance. At its core, discernment is a spiritual skill, rooted in self-awareness and intuition. It begins with the acknowledgement that not everything is as it seems. People, situations, and opportunities often present themselves in ways designed to appeal to our desires, fears, or biases. Without discernment, we risk being swept away by these illusions, making choices that may feel right in the moment but ultimately lead to regret or stagnation. Discernment, however, enables us to pause, reflect, and look beyond the obvious to uncover the underlying reality. To exercise discernment effectively, one must also develop emotional maturity. Our emotions, while vital to the human experience, can cloud our judgment when left unchecked. Fear, anger, or excitement can lead us to perceive things in distorted ways, making it difficult to see situations clearly. By learning to observe our emotions without being controlled by them, we create room for discernment to operate. This does not mean suppressing feelings, but rather understanding their role and allowing them to inform rather than dictate our decisions. Discernment is particularly crucial when it comes to relationship. The people we allow into our lives have a profound impact on our energy, mindset, and overall well-being. Without discernment, we may find ourselves entangled with individuals who drain our spirit, manipulate our emotions, or divert us from our path. These relationships often come disguised as friendships, partnerships, or even love, but their true nature reveals itself over time. Discernment helps us identify these patterns early, enabling us to set boundaries or walk away when necessary. In relationships, discernment teaches us to pay attention to consistency over words. Promises and declarations can be easily made, but it is through actions and patterns of behavior that true intentions are revealed. A discerning heart observes these patterns without judgment or attachment. Seeking alignment rather than perfection, it recognizes that not every connection is meant to last, and that walking away from misaligned relationships is an act of self-respect, not failure. Beyond relationships, discernment plays a vital role in the opportunities we encounter. Life is abundant with possibilities, but not all opportunities are meant for us. Some may seem promising, but ultimately distract from our purpose. Others may require patience and perseverance to reveal their true value. Discernment helps us recognize which doors to walk through and which to let remain closed. It allows us to trust in divine timing, understanding that what is truly meant for us will not pass us by. Cultivating discernment also involves learning from past experiences. Every misstep or mistake offers a lesson in clarity if we are willing to reflect on it. When we approach our past with curiosity rather than judgment, we gain valuable insights into the patterns and choices that have shaped our journey. These lessons become the foundation upon which discernment is built, allowing us to navigate future challenges with greater wisdom and confidence. An essential aspect of discernment is the ability to trust oneself. Discernment is not about
In a world filled with
or
competing
always
voices
making the
and
right
opinions,
choice. Self-trust
it is about
approaching life
keeps
with an
us
open mind and a
aligned with our
discerning
truth.
heart, willing
This
to
trust
explore,
is not
question
blind faith,
and adapt,
but a deep knowing.
It is a
that
practice
we are
that deepens
equipped
over
to make
time,
decisions
shaped by a
that
willingness
honor
to
our
learn
highest
and grow.
good.
The
It
more we
requires
cultivate
silencing
it,
the noise
the more
of doubt
we
and
align
external
with the truth of
validation
who we are,
and
tuning
creating
into
a
the
life
still,
that reflects
small
our
voice
highest
within.
aspirations.
When we trust ourselves,
Discernment is a
flows
gift we
naturally,
give ourselves,
guiding us
a
toward
tool
choices
for
that feel
navigating the
aligned and
uncertainties
authentic.
of life
with grace and confidence.
Deceivers
It is the
are
quiet
among the
wisdom
most
that
insidious
helps us see
challenges we
clearly,
encounter
choose
in life,
wisely,
and
for their
live
presence
authentically.
often disrupts trust,
When we embrace
harmony,
it fully,
and personal
we
growth.
unlock the power to
They
create
wear
a
masks
life
of charm,
purpose,
sincerity,
harmony,
or
and
competence,
fulfillment,
concealing intentions that can harm those who fall under their influence. To navigate life effectively, one must recognize the danger of deceivers, not with fear or paranoia, but wisdom and discernment. Their actions, though often covert, leave trails of inconsistency and imbalance, and learning to identify these patterns protects not only your external circumstances, but also your inner peace. A deceiver thrives in the shadows of manipulation, thriving on the ability to distort reality. They often present themselves
One of the
as
most
trustworthy,
challenging aspects
aligning
of
their
dealing with
words
deceivers
with what you
is
want
their
to
ability
hear
to
or
exploit
see.
human vulnerability.
Their strength lies
They
in their
understand the
ability
natural
to
human
project
desire
a
for
facade
connection,
of reliability,
validation,
while
or
quietly
assistance, and
orchestrating
use these
actions that
desires
serve their
to
self-interest.
their advantage.
These individuals may not
deceiver might
always
appeal to
intend
your
to cause
emotions,
harm directly,
sympathizing with
but
your
their lack
struggles
of
or sharing
alignment with
fabricated
truth
stories
creates ripple
of their
effects
own
that
hardships to
destabilize
gain
the
your
lives of
trust.
those around them. Once this
When
bond
trust
is formed,
is extended to
they
such a person,
manipulate
it
the
often
relationship
results
to
in
fulfill
confusion,
their goal.
disappointment,
Often at your
and,
expense.
in some cases,
This manipulation
profound
can be
loss.
subtle, leaving you questioning your judgment or even doubting your perception of reality. The impact of deception extends beyond the immediate harm caused by the deceiver's actions. It can erode your sense of self-trust, making it difficult to navigate future relationships or opportunities. When deceived, the mind often revisits the situation repeatedly, searching for red flags that were overlooked. This process, while necessary for growth, can also lead to feelings of guilt or shame. You may wonder how you missed the signs or why you allowed the deceiver into your life. These questions, though painful,
are essential to rebuilding your inner clarity and fortifying your ability to discern truth in the future. It is important to recognize that the danger of deceivers does not lie solely in their actions, but in the power we give them. Often, we ignore intuitive warnings or rationalize behaviors that feel off because we want to believe in the goodness of others. This is not a flaw, but a reflection of the human inclination toward trust and optimism. However, failing to acknowledge these internal signals can leave us vulnerable to further harm. The key is not to abandon trust altogether, but to refine it, ensuring it is placed in alignment with both logic and intuition. To protect yourself from deceivers, it is vital to cultivate self-awareness. Pay attention to how you feel in someone's presence. Deceivers often leave subtle signs, inconsistencies in their stories, exaggerated claims, or an inability to follow through on promises. While their words may be convincing, their actions often betray their true nature. Observing these patterns without immediately reacting allows you to gather the evidence needed to make informed decisions about whom to trust. Boundaries are another essential tool in safeguarding yourself from deceivers. A person who respects your boundaries demonstrates an understanding of mutual respect and transparency, while a deceiver may push against them or seek to undermine them subtly. Establishing clear boundaries communicates that you value your energy and time, making it more difficult for manipulative individuals to gain control over your life. It is also important to surround yourself with people who value integrity and truth. The company you keep significantly influences your ability to identify and handle deceivers. Honest, transparent relationships create a foundation of trust that makes it easier to recognize when someone's energy feels out of alignment. These connections act as a support system, offering perspective and guidance when you encounter situations that feel unclear. While encountering deceivers can be painful, these experiences also offer valuable lessons. They teach us the importance of listening to our intuition, setting boundaries, and maintaining a commitment to truth. Each instance of deception, when viewed through the lens of growth, becomes an opportunity to strengthen our discernment and resilience. Rather than allowing the actions of deceivers to diminish our trust in humanity, we can use these moments to refine our ability to trust ourselves. The danger of deceivers lies in their potential to derail us from our path. Yet, with awareness and wisdom, their influence can be minimized. By cultivating clarity within ourselves and fostering relationships rooted in authenticity, we create a life that reflects our highest truth. Deceivers, no matter how skilled, cannot disrupt a foundation built on self-trust and discernment. They may appear as obstacles, but in facing and overcoming their presence, we discover the strength to live in alignment with our deepest values.
The double-minded individual is one of the most perplexing and challenging types of people to encounter. Their nature is marked by inconsistency, indecision, and a lack of integrity, often leading to confusion and instability for those who interact with them. These individuals live in a state of internal conflict, torn between two opposing desires, values, or paths. Their words may promise one thing, while their actions reveal another. Their alliances shift with circumstances, making it nearly impossible to rely on them. To beware the double-minded is not merely a cautionary tale about others, but a reminder to examine our own inner coherence and commitment to truth. Double-mindedness often manifests as a lack of commitment to a single course of action. These individuals are frequently swayed by external forces, their decisions driven by fear, convenience, or the approval of others, rather than by a deep-seated sense of purpose. As a result, their actions lack integrity, and they become unreliable, not because they intend harm, but because they lack the inner alignment needed to stand firm in their choices. They promise loyalty but fail to deliver, offer assurances they cannot fulfill, and vacillate when circumstances demand clarity and decisiveness. One of the greatest challenges posed by double-minded people is the emotional toll they can take on those around them. Their inconsistency creates an atmosphere of uncertainty, where trust becomes tenuous and expectations are constantly undermined. In relationships, they may seem committed one moment and distant the next, leaving their partners feeling confused and unmoored. In professional settings, they may agree to tasks or decisions only to reverse course later, creating frustration and inefficiency for their colleagues. Their inability to anchor themselves in a single direction ripples outward, affecting everyone they encounter. The root of double-mindedness often lies in a deeper internal struggle. These individuals are often caught between fear and desire, between the life they aspire to live and the insecurities that hold them back. They may lack the courage to make definitive choices, fearing the consequences of commitment or the discomfort of leaving behind other possibilities. This internal division is mirrored in their external behavior as they oscillate between conflicting goals or priorities. Understanding this internal conflict can help us approach double-minded individuals with compassion, even as we remain vigilant to the impact of their behavior. For those who seek to build lives of stability and purpose, recognizing double-mindedness in others and within ourselves is essential. Interacting with double-minded individuals requires discernment and clear boundaries. While it is tempting to try to help or fix them, it is crucial to remember that their internal conflict is theirs to resolve. We cannot force someone to choose alignment or integrity. That is a personal journey each individual must undertake. However, we can protect ourselves by setting firm boundaries and refusing to be drawn into their cycles of indecision and inconsistency. The greatest danger of engaging with double-minded individuals is the risk of being drawn into their instability. Their shifting loyalties or priorities can create confusion, leading us to question our own decisions or values. To counteract this, we must cultivate a strong sense of self-awareness and clarity about our own goals and principles. When we are anchored in our truth, the wavering nature of others has less power to destabilize us. This requires a commitment to regular introspection and a willingness to confront any areas where we too may be harboring double-minded tendencies. Indeed, the phenomenon of double-mindedness is not confined to others. It exists within all of us to some degree. Moments of indecision, conflicting desires, or hesitation are part of the human experience. However, the key to overcoming double-mindedness is recognizing these tendencies within ourselves and addressing them with honesty and courage. This process begins with aligning our thoughts, emotions, and actions with a clear sense of purpose. When we live in coherence, our decisions flow naturally from our values, and our lives become a reflection of our deepest truths. To move beyond double-mindedness, both in ourselves and in how we relate to others, we must cultivate the discipline of commitment. This involves making deliberate choices and standing by them, even when faced with challenges or temptations. It means trusting in our ability to navigate the consequences of our decisions and embracing the growth that comes from taking responsibility for our actions. When we embody this clarity and integrity, we inspire others to do the same. To beware the double-minded is to honor the value of consistency and alignment in all areas of life. It is a call to surround ourselves with people who reflect these qualities and to embody them in our own actions. By doing so, we create relationships, environments, and experiences that are rooted in trust and authenticity. The double-minded may continue to exist, but their influence diminishes in the presence of those who have chosen the path of clarity, integrity, and unwavering commitment to truth. Manipulators are a subtle yet potent force in our lives, weaving webs of influence that often go unnoticed until the damage has been done. They operate with a keen understanding of human nature, exploiting vulnerabilities and bending situations to serve their interests. The essence of manipulation lies in control, not the overt control of physical force, but the covert control of emotions, perceptions, and decisions. These individuals can distort reality, create illusions of trust, and wield power in ways that undermine autonomy and peace. To recognize and guard against manipulators is essential for preserving personal integrity and freedom. Manipulators often present themselves as allies, cloaking their intentions in the guise of helpfulness, concern, or charm. They are adept at reading people, identifying what drives them, and tailoring their approach to tap into these motivations. Whether it's offering unsolicited advice, playing the role of a confidant, or presenting themselves as indispensable, manipulators position themselves as people you can rely on. This makes it easy to overlook their ulterior motives, as they skillfully mask their actions under layers of apparent goodwill. One of the hallmarks of manipulation is the creation of imbalance. Manipulators thrive on making others feel indebted to them. They may do favors that seem altruistic but come with unspoken expectations. Over time, this creates a dynamic where the recipient feels compelled to reciprocate, often in ways that go beyond fairness or comfort. This imbalance is not always material. It can also manifest emotionally, with manipulators cultivating feelings of guilt or obligation to maintain their hold. Emotional manipulation is particularly insidious, as it operates on the unseen terrain of the heart and mind. Manipulators may use tactics like gaslighting, where they distort facts or deny events to make their victims question their perception of reality. They may feign vulnerability, using their supposed hardships to elicit sympathy and gain leverage. Alternatively, they may subtly criticize or demean, eroding self-esteem to make others more pliable. These techniques are designed to destabilize, creating a sense of dependency that allows manipulators to assert their influence. Another common strategy is the use of flattery and validation. Manipulators know how to make others feel special, praising their abilities or qualities in ways that disarm skepticism. While genuine compliments are natural in healthy relationships, the manipulator's praise is calculated, serving as a tool to lower defenses and establish rapport. Once trust is gained, they leverage it to achieve their goals, often at the expense of the very person they've charmed. The danger of manipulators lies not only in their actions but also in their ability to make you complicit in your own manipulation. They plant seeds of doubt, fear, or desire, subtly guiding your choices while making you believe the decisions are entirely your own. This erosion of autonomy can leave you feeling powerless, questioning your judgment, and struggling to reclaim control over your life. The emotional toll can be significant, leading to feelings of confusion, frustration, and even betrayal when their true nature is revealed. Recognizing manipulators requires vigilance and self-awareness. Pay attention to how you feel after interacting with someone. If you consistently feel drained, obligated, or unsure of yourself, these may be signs of manipulation. Observe patterns in their behavior. Do they seem overly agreeable or helpful, only to later ask for something in return? Do they frequently shift the narrative to make themselves appear as victims or heroes? These are red flags that merit closer examination. Setting boundaries is one of the most effective ways to protect yourself from manipulators. Clearly defining what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior communicates that you value your autonomy and are unwilling to compromise it. Manipulators often test boundaries, so it's crucial to enforce them consistently and without apology. This might mean saying no to requests, limiting your engagement with them, or addressing manipulative behavior directly. While this can be uncomfortable, it is a necessary step in reclaiming control over your interactions. It is also important to cultivate relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and authenticity. Surround yourself with people who value your well-being as much as their own, who encourage your independence rather than seeking to control it. These connections act as a safeguard, providing a counterbalance to the influence of manipulators and reinforcing your ability to trust and assert yourself. Manipulators are a part of the human experience, but their power is not insurmountable. By developing awareness, setting boundaries, and fostering genuine relationships, you can minimize their impact on your life. Moreover, each encounter with a manipulator offers an opportunity for growth, teaching you to trust your instincts, value your autonomy, and stand firm in your truth. Though their actions may be unsettling, manipulators ultimately serve as reminders of the importance of clarity, integrity, and self-respect in navigating the complexities of human interaction. The greatest defense against manipulation is a strong sense of self. When you know your values, trust your intuition, and remain steadfast in your boundaries, you become impervious to the subtle machinations of those who seek to control. Manipulators may attempt to sway you, but their efforts will falter in the face of your unwavering commitment to live authentically and independently. In a world saturated with words, promises, reassurances, opinions, and advice, it is easy to lose sight of a fundamental truth. Intuition often speaks more clearly and truthfully than the most eloquent speech. Words can be manipulated, shaped to serve purposes beyond their surface meanings, but intuition, that quiet voice within, is rooted in a deeper understanding. It bypasses the rational mind, tapping into an unseen reservoir of wisdom that senses the essence of situations and people. 6. Trusting your intuition over words is not just a skill but a safeguard for navigating life with clarity, confidence, and authenticity. Words have power. They can uplift, inspire, and motivate. Yet they can also deceive, mislead, and mask hidden intentions. A skilled speaker can weave narratives that seem impeccable on the surface while subtly serving their own agendas. Politicians, marketers, and even those close to us may use words to sway us in directions we might not otherwise choose. In such moments, relying solely on words can lead us astray, away from our true desires and well-being. This is where intuition becomes indispensable, a quiet guide that operates beyond the reach of verbal persuasion. Intuition often speaks through subtle cues, gut feelings, a sense of unease, or an inexplicable pull toward or away from something. It is not loud or demanding but persistent, waiting for us to pay attention. Unlike words, which can be carefully constructed to appeal to logic or emotion, intuition emerges from a deeper awareness that processes information beyond our conscious understanding. It connects patterns, discerns energy, and detects incongruences that might escape the rational mind. Consider a moment when someone's words didn't match their energy. Perhaps they assured you of their loyalty, but something about their tone, body language, or even the timing of their statement made you feel otherwise. That discomfort was your intuition alerting you to a misalignment between what was being said and the truth. Similarly, there are moments when intuition draws you toward opportunities or people, even when logic cannot immediately explain why. These instances highlight the profound wisdom of intuition, which perceives truth's words may obscure. Trusting intuition over words requires a willingness to slow down and listen. Modern life often pulls us outward, demanding constant engagement with external stimuli, social media, conversations, responsibilities. Amid this noise, the quiet voice of intuition can be drowned out. Cultivating a relationship with your intuition means creating space for reflection and connection with your inner self. Practices such as meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature can help you attune to this inner wisdom. The more you listen to it, the more clearly it will guide you. Fear and doubt are common obstacles to trusting intuition. The rational mind, accustomed to relying on evidence and logic, may resist the seemingly abstract nature of intuitive insights. Fear of being wrong, of taking risks, or of going against the grain can also suppress intuitive guidance. However, intuition is not about certainty, it is about alignment. It nudges you toward what feels true, even if the path ahead is unclear. Overcoming these fears requires trust in your inner voice and a willingness to act on its guidance, even when it defies conventional reasoning. To prioritize intuition over words, it is essential to observe and question the motivations behind what is being said. Words are often colored by the speaker's desires, insecurities, or intentions. When someone's words provoke strong emotions, whether excitement, fear, or urgency, pause and ask yourself whether their message resonates with your inner truth. Notice how your body responds to their words. Intuition often communicates through physical sensations, such as a tightness in your chest, a flutter in your stomach, or a sense of calm clarity. These signals can offer valuable insights into whether to trust or question what is being said. The relationships provide fertile ground for learning to trust intuition. Whether in friendships, romantic partnerships, or professional connections, the alignment between words and actions is key. Someone's repeated assurances of care or reliability may lose meaning if their behavior consistently contradicts their promises. Intuition will often sense these discrepancies long before the mind acknowledges them. Similarly, when someone's actions align with their words, your intuition may signal trustworthiness, even if external circumstances seem uncertain. Intuition also serves as a compass for self-guidance. While external voices may offer advice or criticism, your intuition reflects your unique journey and values. It helps you distinguish between paths that align with your purpose and those that do not. When faced with decisions, especially significant ones, tuning into intuition can provide clarity that transcends the limitations of logic. It encourages you to honor your authentic desires, even when they challenge societal expectations or norms. Following intuition over words is a practice of deep self-trust. It requires you to believe in your capacity to discern truth, even when it defies conventional wisdom or external validation. It is not a rejection of words or logic, but an acknowledgement that they are only part of the equation. By listening to intuition, you reclaim your power to navigate life authentically, grounded in an inner wisdom that is uniquely yours. In this alignment with self, you find clarity, strength, and the freedom to live in harmony with your deepest truths. In conclusion, trust is a sacred cornerstone of our relationships and our journey through life. It is not something to be given lightly, for the wrong choices can lead to pain and confusion. By sharpening our discernment, recognizing the dangers of deceivers, manipulators, and the double-minded, and prioritizing intuition over words, we arm ourselves with the clarity and strength to build a life rooted in authenticity and peace. Trust begins with understanding yourself, listening to the quiet voice within, and honoring the boundaries that protect your integrity. When you align with your inner truth, you will naturally attract the people and circumstances that reflect your values and aspirations. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on this journey of discernment and self-awareness. May you walk forward with confidence, trusting wisely and living fully.